Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is up, Panther fans? It's the C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Tonight's show, Horn injured again as Bryce Young looks to bounce back versus the Saints. The Carolina Panthers will be playing on Monday night this week against the New Orleans Saints, and we've got a ton of content to talk about, whether it's turf and how it's destroying Achilles and knees all across the world. And we saw that on Monday Night Football last night with one of the craziest endings to overtime you could imagine. From J.C. Horn's hamstring as he gimped off the field again in his first appearance in 2023 and is reportedly going to miss weeks of action. The Carolina Panthers struggled against the run. We've got some insight into that with Mike K tonight. We've got a little tease because I got a beat check coming for you tomorrow with Mike K. You're going to be great, man. It's going to be great. We've got a great guest tonight and David Grubb from Bleav in Saints podcast. We've got all the Panthers content that you need. It's the longest running Panthers podcast from the fan perspective each and every week at 9 p.m. I do it with my homeboys, and my wheelman Cody Lashney is back.
Tony Dunn, the season is back around. Panther fans are already fighting with one another, as I'm sure you and I will find a reason to do so tonight. Man, listen, a last-minute signing of Tariq Cohen that literally just happened an hour or two ago. Deion Jones back on the roster. And you know what? We're going to continue this Fitterer conversation that a lot of people are not willing to have. We're going to do it here tonight, Tony Dunn. But you know that we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's Panther Pickle, Drew, Joey the Blind Panther, the brand ambassador D's. What's up, brother? Double JR, Jake the Snake FU, Kenneth, KG73s, Kristen Ladane, Muscles Marinara, Paisan, My Life, My Story. What's up, Jay? Panther Cow 73, Pipe Slinger, Randy Stover, Red and White Bills, Roosevelt Mongo, The Real City 3 AP, and Vol Guy 23. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
You know the deal. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We want to get your thoughts and opinions on the Carolina Panthers. Their debut against the Atlanta Falcons, how Bryce Young can bounce back. Will he bounce back? How this Carolina Panthers team will respond in the face of adversity. Can they respond in the face of adversity? Are our hopes too high? We need your thoughts and opinions, folks. This is your show, so get on the horn. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Check us out on iTunes. Tune in. Not Stitcher anymore. They went bankrupt. But the C3 Panthers podcast don't go bankrupt because we got the voice that makes them moist, making everybody loot around these parts. Somebody said you stay hungry, man. What you eating?
I've got a calzone trying to nurse a headache, man. It's been a stressful small vacation that we've had. And I'll tell you what, I was telling Cody before the show, I said, I don't know how people with multiple kids do this. It is not relaxing at all to do a vacation with kids. Like, it's just, oh man, it's exhausting, and I've got a headache, and so it's been one of those weeks where I honestly haven't even watched much of. I watched a little bit of news with regard to what happened last night. I haven't really seen the updated injury stuff except for multiple weeks for J.C. Horn. So it'll be an interesting conversation tonight. I'll be learning along with many of the people that maybe haven't heard some of the stuff we're going to be discussing tonight.
Fantastic stuff. David Grubb from Bleav in Saints podcast at 9:40 tonight. We've got your cat calls later in the show. We've got the news and notes, but right now let's just go ahead and get to it. And there's nothing bigger than the regular news that dang J.C. Horn is hurt. And, man, I tell you this is as we continued to talk about him and this secondary with Dante Jackson, who's spoken about J.C. Horn's injury, we knew that like so much about this defense felt fragile from Brian Burns, the necessity of having him out there each and every down every week, the necessity of having many ways J.C. Horn. Right now it looks like Troy Pride, C.J. Henderson going to have to fill the void as J.C. Horn reportedly will miss multiple weeks according to not Scott. It's Jason Fowler with ESPN, I think is his name. John Fowler, Jason Fowler, one of the Fowlers. I wonder if he's Scott Fowler's son. That's one question I've had. J.C. Horn, hamstring injury. Any thoughts on this? I mean, is it time? Like, I don't even like to have we should have picked Surtain. Oh, we should have had this. It just is what it is.
Well, it is what it is, but Tony, it is what it is that people are going to make that comparison. Like, they're going to continue to do that, especially when you have one who's been named a Pro Bowler, I Bleav, in Patrick Surtain, and J.C. Horn, who continues to be hurt, man. And listen, I've been a big-time Horn defender. I still believe in the talent that the dude has. He was not an injury-prone player coming out of South Carolina, but, man, it just doesn't ever get better for him, man. He will not have played a season in his first, 3 years now?
He missed 12 games.
That he didn't miss time?
14 games his rookie year. 14 games his rookie year with a broken foot. 4 games his sophomore year towards the end with a broken wrist. Now he's slated to miss at least this week, potentially more with his hamstring. Did I say Troy Pride?
Yeah, and the chat room is correcting you.
Troy Hill. Troy Pride.
It's been a long week, people.
Nah, man. You know what? That was a guy that another swing and miss for the secondary. DJ Johnson didn't play on Sunday.
Well, the thing that's obviously a concern, but he'll obviously get some playing time this coming week unless somebody else is able to jump him in the depth chart. But one of the things that I find interesting is people who still try to compare this with wanting to go get Surtain, sure, but there's still people out there who are like, we should have went Justin Fields. What we saw week one,
like hot garbage.
Here's the thing: the only thing he's looked good doing is running the football, and in the NFL. He has not looked good as a passer at all in his entire career as an NFL starter, right? And so, I'm just surprised people are still holding on to this Justin Fields. I loved Justin Fields last year because he had got me into my playoffs. But what we saw yesterday, on Sunday, does not make me think that he's a better option than what we got with J.C. Horn.
I think it's like an unhealthy argument or discussion to have. Be like, what if we should have? Is J.C. Horn has demonstrated that when healthy, he is a very, very good player. The problem is no one can predict injuries, and he's never healthy. Yeah, and if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have luck at all. Any luck at all. He's born under a bad side. He's been down since he learned to crawl, as old Albert King would say. J.C. Horn, this hurts us, but in some cases, here, actually, let's do this. Cody, go ahead and I'll tease this. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be putting up a new beat check. I've got a 45-minute interview with Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer where we hit on everything from J.C. Horn to the receivers to the defense to Brian Burns. Good conversation about Brian Burns' contract and even how the Andy Dalton potentially as a trade or how this turf conversation, if it's ever going to get some legs, it might happen because Aaron Rodgers is the guy whose leg or Achilles was ruined. But let's check out what Mike Kay, what he had to say about J.C. Horn's injury.
He's got a hamstring injury, and those are typically multiple week injuries. I think it's not like a far shot in the dark to be presumptuous and say that he will miss time. That said, if it's a minor hamstring injury, then maybe he only misses a week or two. If it's a major hamstring injury, those can be extremely lingering, and you never know when that's kind of to recover. So, I think they kind of dodged a bullet in that it's not an Achilles injury. It's a soft tissue injury that once he's back, he can be back, but it's certainly not a great situation to have.
That's Mike K, and just a little tease of what we talked about with JC Horn. We went on to talk about how the teams react and what the thoughts are around the league and how mentally this is going to affect, really, maybe JC Horn and how the fans are dealing with it. Cody, how do we deal? I don't know. Where do we take this conversation? Do we continue to down on JC Horn as being injury prone, hurt, whatever, always hurt? Or do we hope that somehow my man can, or our guy can get some health, maybe have a week or two off, come back, be back in the mix. And now we're just trying to figure out how do we manage in the meantime.
Yeah, listen, you should definitely hope for him to get back in the mix. The problem is you shouldn't expect it. And I think that's where we're at this impasse now, is that we're always talking about how great of a player he is when he's on the football field, but he's not on the football field. Now we're having a question, are we about to be torn up every time we play some top-tier wide receivers? Because I know that we have the New Orleans Saints coming to town, which, by the way, your boy will be there Monday night, first ever Monday night football game, going with one of my best friends in life. Say hello if you see me. But, yeah, man, we're going to have a nice wide receiver core coming to Carolina. And who are we trusting to be able to step up to the task? Not
clearly Troy Pride. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, Chad. Troy Hill.
We signed Lamar Jackson. Not that one. We signed a different Lamar today, but
we finally got Lamar.
Right now, we have no depth at the cornerback position. We talk about how the Panthers might have the worst wide receiver core in the NFL, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But man, now that you don't have JC Horn, what is Dante our number one corner?
CJ, and y'all don't need to go shit on CJ. I think people are
going to anyway.
They will no matter what, just based on reputation.
I might be one of them.
Probably. CJ Henderson had played pretty well. He had a good training camp. He had, according to Mike K, we'll talk about that in tomorrow's interview, so make sure you check that out. He talked about how it kind of ended tough in the preseason for CJ Henderson in that final game, but he was not terrible on Sunday. And I know visually we all just see that one big play against Kyle Pitts, right? But he made a good open field tackle. Is that CJ Henderson is not, going back to this, is not a terrible person to have on the team right now. We need him.
Yeah, but if you're giving up the biggest plays at the most pivotal moments when we needed a stop and he was in position to make a stop, he doesn't make a play. And I'm sorry,
think that was sort of a surprise play in some ways. Is that nobody?
I know you want to defend him.
Okay,
I'm not saying that he's the worst. I'm saying that in the big moments where he has had opportunities to step up, he has failed to do so every single time. So that's what has me worried right now. He's going to have to continue to step up now that JC Horn is not back there. And
better than Keith Taylor.
Can I say the one thing that's positive about CJ Henderson?
Yeah.
CJ Henderson has been available more than any of these other guys that we consider our star cornerbacks.
Amen. Amen.
And so what have we heard from every single person who's been consistently healthy is their best quality is availability, right? Or whatever they said,
that applies to Horn more than anything, right?
Right. So we can talk about his skill level all day, every day, but the problem is not just the skill that's the problem. It's the fact that he's not able to actually help the team. The thing is right now, think about how much money this guy has gotten paid to not be on the field. It's astronomical.
What, Horn?
Yes. Yeah, it's guaranteed money,
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So this guy has got money rolling in, and he hasn't played. I'd be, if you added up everything, the dude hasn't played an entire season in 2 years.
No, not at all. And you know what? I know he's frustrated more than the fans are frustrated.
And that's the thing is, people can't sit there and talk about it's These are all separate injuries. Like, it's just the dude has the worst luck out of anybody, but it is impossible. And we talked about it in the offseason when he had the ankle injury. Like, the dude has had every part of his body just injured in some way, shape, or form. It's not something that I would say is like his fault, but you have to put that injury prone thing with him, because even though it may just be multiple different things that are being impacted, there's clearly something different about his body or his physical makeup that's making his injuries way more like likely than anybody else. Name another player who's had this many different type of injuries in
Christian
just
McCaffrey.
2 years. No, Christian McCaffrey still was able to get through 2 years, 3 years without getting an injury, and with being overused. And we also want to assume that Christian McCaffrey was injured the entire time. I think we can all look back on the last part of all those seasons that he was sitting and think that the team was probably just sitting him to keep him from getting hurt, because there was no point in him being out there on the field.
The good news is this simplifies the discussion that you were trying to have with us the other day about, like, oh, we got to figure out how to pay Brian Burns, then Derek Brown, then J.C. Horn. Right now, Derek Brown's going to be the easiest pay out of all of them. And what I mean by that is that I think it was, and Mike K and I discussed this today, the contract doesn't come with a lot of caveats and stipulations, right? Is like, it's going to be straight up. And we got a lot of cool information, or at least I think not new information, but insightful discussion when it comes to the Burns contract and why it's going the way it is, and how the Panthers, and you've been saying this, Cody, and a lot of you guys have said this, Mike K echoed this, is that passing up the trade gave Brian Burns like a mandate to just be like, hey, you want me more than anybody.
Get your money.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that going forward. All right. What is up next? Is actually Brian, speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil himself, man, Brian Burns. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this, right, is because especially in the first half of that game against Atlanta, Brian Burns instantly makes his presence felt.
First two series.
Literally anyone arguing at this point that Brian Burns is not the best player that the Carolina Panthers have on their roster, like, they're in denial at this point. It's Brian Burns, and he's far above everyone else, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We knew that DJ Jones, I believe his name was, for the Kansas City Chiefs. No, pardon me, Chris Jones.
Yeah.
For the Kansas City Chiefs. They worked out a 1-year deal for him to
really
pay him more
weird
money.
Scenario, man.
Yeah,
they can franchise tag him next year.
Yeah, definitely a weird one, but they paid a proven player, and so Sheena quick put out on Twitter, and then there was one, and then our man, hype man Lucci, Brian Burns' brother, says the one that showed up did everything the right way, put his team first. Nice guys finished last, but we always finish. God's plan. Love you, Fire Burns. I'm very proud of you last week. Last week was the hardest we've experienced in a long time, but we were never raised to question God. And listen, to me, Tony, this is a situation of, Brian Burns will not sit out. He will play the whole season, which now has me feeling he'll play the whole season under the contract that he has right now. And let me tell you, if I'm a betting man, Brian Burns will be far more expensive at the end of this season than he is right now. And Fitterer is going to have to wear this one. In my opinion, this is on Fitterer. I'm tired of passing up. Oh, it was Matt Rule making him do shit. Oh, it's David Tepper. He is the general manager, and all of this is happening on his watch.
Now, I think Brian Burns might just be asking for an astronomical amount.
Astronomical.
Like
more than what Bosa got?
No, not more than Bosa, but like I think 28 might be the floor of what he's asking.
Sure.
And here's some other things that go into that. So it's like, strangely, the contractual conversation this season has been simplified in such a way. As 10 years doing this podcast, I have seen the way conversation talks have gone, particularly as social media has evolved and become more important and more in depth. And 10 years ago, when we first started this podcast, everybody wanted to see their name that said highest paid defensive end. But then you would look into the contract and you would see it wasn't that there were voidable years at the end. There was ways to get out of it. The guaranteed money wasn't there. And for what I've seen over the past 5 or 6 years, when we're looking at these contracts in a really kind of careful and sophisticated way, you think of like Lamar Jackson, they want guarantee. It's about the guaranteed figure. And I feel like this defensive end conversation this year has just been simplified to 34 a year, 30 a year, 28 a year. And I think it's more nuanced than that. But 28, I think, is doable. But I don't know. Do you give this guy a blank check?
I mean, I don't think you. I mean, you can't. No, you're fine. You can't give him a blank check. Obviously, I mean, you gotta. There's a part of this that we have to plan for the future, and if this team isn't as good as we thought they were going to be this offseason, I mean, there's going to be a real overhaul on what this offense looks like, this defense looks like, and I think there might be a lot of free agency acquisitions next year, and so you've got to take that into consideration. But you've got to give the guy an opportunity to play here. I mean, the guy's been here; he's dedicated his entire career here. And here's the thing: and I'm not here to say I told you so, but one of the things I talked about last week, as much as we want to believe that the nice guys are the ones that get the best deals, like it's just not the way the world works. It's just
You're right.
not.
That's a great point.
And it's something that I hate. I hate that about this world. I hate that that's not the case, because it's sort of like, you want to be the good customer that, if you're not the person calling up your cell phone company and saying, I'm going to leave if you don't give me a better deal, you're not getting a better deal. You're the one that's going to continue to pay higher. The person who's getting the better deal is the person who's calling and saying, I'm going to leave if you don't actually pay me the money there. You don't give me a better deal than what I've got now. Right. And we do that in the middle of contracts all the time. So even if you want to try to compare this to real world scenarios, we all do it. Every one of us. I mean, not everybody. I'm sure there's some people.
And he's not playing just nice, CK. Let's just be frank about this. He's playing the part of being the good soldier. He's playing the part of, I'm here for the team. It is part of the PR battle, dude. No. It's part of him trying to also win the PR battle. He has ingratiated himself with Panther fans. He has done. Let's just not say this. Is sometimes people don't just do the right things because the right things. They do the right things because they get them things that they want.
Like what?
But that's
what I would say is I would say, look, go back to what Greg Olsen and Thomas Davis did, where they had developed such a great rapport with Panther fans that they were able to use that rapport as pressure and leverage on the organization. Right now, at the end of, we don't know what's going on behind those negotiation doors. We don't know what his agent said, how much he says they got a vice grip around the Panthers' balls or whatever it may be. What we do know is that Panther fans feel like Brian Burns is getting the shaft and that the Panthers team is the one on the negative side of this. That means that he is winning, whether he is winning it by, you guys are saying, unintentionally. I think this is partially by design.
I don't think so. Here's the thing. When you look at the players who do what you're talking about, they say, I'd like to renegotiate, but I'm here, I'm showing up, right? And then you compare them to players like Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, like all of these people, like Chris Jones, all these people who are willing to hold out, willing not to play. The people who are willing not to play get the contract before the season starts, and the people who don't do that get the contract with another team the year after, right? And so the part of this is like there is no strategy here. Like if you're trying to like I want Brian Burns out there on the field. I also don't want him to feel like the Panthers are not paying him what he's worth. Now, as long as there's a reasonable, concessions being made, then I'm fine with paying the guy what he wants to be paid. But it's not a matter of an over, like, as long as it's not number one in the NFL, I'm fine with it. right?
But-
I don't want him to be paid more than Joey.
Al
Nick
is
Bosa.
crazy. This dude is not better than Nick. The better than Joey.
Joey
Okay. I was about to say, okay, that's
but
fine.
Tony, like, whether you think he had some machinations to do it for PR or whatever, the fact of the matter is he has done the right thing. And never one time throughout this, other than a few days before the season opener, did he ever abandon his team. And by the way, if he really wanted to play hardball, he would say, I'm not playing for y'all this year.
I don't know. I don't think it's that easy.
Or else I'm not going to play.
I don't think it's that easy.
He absolutely has the right to do that. He has not done that. And dude, I'm telling you, this is going to bite us on the ass because he's going to be far more expensive next year than he is right now. And yeah, the fact that they did not take that trade for him is going to be egg on their face.
That was the thing that they should have just paid him right then.
And Tony,
as soon as they didn't take the trade.
As a fan base, let's say it's the difference between 28 to 32 million.
That's
no, dude. You already know that the salary cap is bullshit anyway. You and I both know this.
I disagree.
Why are we fighting over $4 or $5 million? Like that's somehow going to be so.
Because at some point, Cody, you
cannot tell me that is going to be more detrimental than any other players.
It's okay to say $4 or $5 million when you're talking about 23 or 24, but you can't add $4 or $5 million and then say, oh, another $4 or $5 million. That's a $10 million jump.
No, I'm saying if he wants 20.
He can't. Look, I want to highlight somebody's comment. They actually said, who was it? Was Kev? It was Kev. Tar Heel Kev said that Joe Person said on WFNZ that Brian Burns wants 30. Now, you know what is that he might get it now. He could. Yeah. You might have gotten away with 28 2 weeks ago. But if he goes out there and has another game like he did today, the price is not going down right now. No. The price is not going, and it's not plateauing either. So this is like something is going on, and I don't think this is just the Panthers being stingy with $2 or $3 million. I truly think that there's something behind the scenes that this agent is really trying to get some real juice out this squeeze, and it's making the Panthers cautious.
Do you think they're trying to play this with like the Chris Jones contract, for instance, is incentive laden? Right, up to 25 million based on how he performs this year, right? Do you think that Brian Burns is trying to his agent is trying to eliminate incentive laden contracts, or do you Bleav that this is just a really like we're at 25, they're at 30, we're not coming together, we're not willing to give. We've already come from 20 up to 25, we've come from 35 down to 30. We're not budging. We're at an impasse. Is that where we're at here?
I have a sneaky feeling that Brian Burns doesn't want this to be a 5-year deal. He wants it to be a 4-year deal. And the money to be in the range closer to what a $5 million 5-year contract is, because Brian Burns is only 25.
Yeah,
sure.
So I think this is, I personally think that there has to be something with the there has to be something with the length of the contract there, where he's saying this is, I want the benefit of getting paid kind of the money that is typically paid over 5 years in a 4-year span. So I can then in year 3 do this again. There has to be some. If it's just $2 million, it's too easy. It's too weird for this just to be over $2 million a year.
Right. Well, it's that, but I also wonder if this is a matter of. I don't know that I would say that it's a matter of like the contract age or anything like that. I guess my biggest concern is like, do you think that even the idea of what Aaron Rodgers did with his contract with Green Bay, like every time somebody gets paid more, that we can have the opportunity to renegotiate, is that going to be more of a common ask by players? And is that a sticking point maybe? Like,
I don't know if he's got enough clout, though, to do that.
But I agree with you. I don't think this is going to be simply a matter of money. I don't think, or, just base salary. I think there's got to be something more to this.
There's 3 real, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to do our plug for Caldera in just 1 second. There's 3 components to a contract, right? There's guaranteed money, right? There is the length of the contract, and then there's the total value of the contract. Right. I think those are the three cap, and then you can put some some different when the bonus scales are, maybe some incentives. We never get any insight into incentive based contracts though, until we just hear like the guy last night hit 3 interceptions. He got his $250,000 bonus on the first night or whatever.
Right. Or like, what was it with Atlanta, the guy who got like 5 sacks at the end of the season to be able to get his bonus. I can't remember who that was.
All right. So the thing is those 3 components, and it can't just be one of those. There has to be some dance in here that's preventing the Carolina Panthers, because they've articulated that they wanted to sign him. I would like to thank Jay Thomas. Thank you, man. This guy is like an angel investor for the podcast at this point. Jay Thomas, is it me, or does it always seem like we're the ones running into salary cap issues while other teams are fully stacked with no problem? Yeah. And where the hell is Suleiman, who is this crazy math guy? Why is it that?
This is what I'm saying. I'm tired of hearing that the salary cap matters so much for us. And we don't have $30 million to spend.
I think we have it
here on us lowly little Carolina Panthers, but yet it never matters for Philadelphia. It never mattered for New Orleans. By the way,
I'll tell you why.
Hold on. Look at how many people the 49ers are paying almost $30 million a year, dude. It is insanity, bro.
But they're also paying their quarterback $8 a game.
But even beyond that, right? What is different about those teams than the Carolina Panthers? They all draft incredibly well, which means they have a lot of players on rookie contracts that they're not have. The Panthers' skill is like biggest positions. Like we have a lot of mediocre money spread across the entire team.
Right. You're right.
A lot of those teams have high dollar amounts to the really important positions, but they're still paying a pretty low figure.
They got Brandon
to a lot of
Ayuk
these
out there putting up 2 touchdowns.
You're 100% right, man. Especially Philadelphia. Dude, they
hit in the later rounds. You know what is
that's what I'm saying.
San Francisco has almost a bad hit rate in the first round. They're like 50-50 in the first round, but they've hit some home runs in the 3rd and 4th round that are crazy. Look, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast.
One more super chat, because C-Dog with the $2 love bomb says Bryce Young isn't worth the number 1 pick. I was at the game. Oh boy, we'll get into it. Do that read, Tony Dunn.
Look, as first we expect David Grubb from the Bleav in Saints podcast here in just about 5 minutes to help us preview the game. But guys, sometimes self-care is important. It really is. In times like this, you need to feel good. And one way to help you feel good is to look good. And Caldera Lab products are a way to help you look good. This is a high-quality men's facial care system, a twice-a-day regimen that includes a facial cleanse, a beautiful lotion. Man, I tell you, you wash your face, you put the lotion on, you could feel it working. You don't get that dry skin. You don't get the oily skin. It's like, touch my face. This actually feels incredible. You get a great eye cream that helps fight the bags, fight the, what are these, crow's claws or claws feet or whatever, crow's feet or whatever they are. You get a nighttime serum. Man, just sounds cool. Putting serum on your face. It's like a special oil, like you went to Arabia and got it's like the 3 kings came and brought you the myrrh, incense, frankincense and myrrh to your house. CalderaLabs.com/C3 is the place to go if you want to look good and feel good. And when you go there, you're going to get 20% off your first order by using that link right there, CalderaLab.com/C3. I have been using this product, and I'm not lying, dude. It took care of blackheads. It makes me want to care about myself more. Look good, feel good. CalderaLab.com/C3, 20% off. Guys, we need to look good and feel good on Monday night. And this is a perfect time to go ahead and bring in our guest, David Grubb from Bleav in Saints podcast. He's there. I see him. David, welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Glad to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Man, we are happy to have you here. And cool fun fact here, your co-host lives in my town and went to my alma mater. I'm an ECU alum. Terrence Copper lives here in Greenville. He's calling right now. He said, whoa, who's this ECU pirate up there?
I am a Wake Forest alum, so North
Wonderful.
Carolina is certainly was home for me for a good while. Started at WXII and went to Salem, and my daughter's godmother lives in Greensboro to this day. So
wonderful.
Definitely love the Carolinas.
Surprising. I watched a little bit of your game. I had a bunch of games on the screen, kind of trying to. Hey, you know what? I've decided I don't like watching multiple games at one time. I don't know how the people do it. I've never watched anything well, but as I was watching this game, it was pretty ugly. It looked like for a long time. I thought, hell, the Saints are dead. They're left for dead, it looked like to me at one point. And then I flipped back over, and they damn win the game. And I thought Derek Carr looked like a bum for most of the time. And I looked at his stats, and he's like 23 for 33, 300 yards or whatever. What was this game like? Give us the inside info on what happened with the Saints in week 1.
I feel like the Saints, like a lot of teams, made a big mistake by not letting their starters play a bit more in the preseason, especially considering that Derek Carr was taking over a new team. Michael Thomas had been out essentially for the last 3 seasons. There was a lot of timing that I felt like that this team needed to get. Alvin Kamara was going to and is going to miss the next 2 games as part of his 3-game suspension. Jamal Williams, a new back coming over from Detroit, and an offensive line that's been in flux for the last 3 years. And I think we saw a lot of those errors come out in week 1. It wasn't particularly impressive offensively, though. Like you said, the counting numbers look good for Derek Carr. 22 of 33, 305 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. But you compare that to, Jameis Winston's debuts the last 2 seasons, they're not even close. Like Jameis Winston his first game 2 years ago threw for 5 TDs against the Packers and had a 138 rating, 130 rating. Against Atlanta last year, he leads that fourth quarter comeback, 269 yards, 2 TDs, 111 rating. So, Derek Carr played a Derek Carr kind of game where the numbers look like at the end of the day, you're like, Derek Carr had 300 yards, but he didn't.
Did it happen late? Did it come late in the game?
He had a big play on the final drive, a big 30-yard gain. There were a couple of, he had a big 40-yarder early in the game. He had another 30-yarder to Michael Thomas. So he had a few big plays, but none of them resulted in touchdowns. The touchdown pass was only 19 yards.
How do you feel about Derek Carr?
I mean, I think he's a prove-it guy. I mean, to me, he's been in the league a decade, and everybody wanted to compare him to Drew Brees and say, well, Brees came in and, it was a different similar situations, and guys get to advance. Brees came in, he had been to a Pro Bowl, a couple Pro Bowls in San Diego, was much younger, and accuracy was his thing. I think mentally, Drew Brees was always a leader. I don't think you compare those two mentally. And then Sean Payton being the offensive guy, he was given the ability to mold Drew Brees. Derek Carr's a decade in. So I think, you get what you get out of him at this point. You just hope that he doesn't make mistakes. And last year, he made a lot of mistakes.
Cody, you're up.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on the show with us tonight. My question is going to revolve to the other side of the football. I want to talk about your defense. You guys played fairly well on defense, and the story for the Panthers is that our offense just felt like it was sputtering. Bryce Young threw 2 interceptions. My question to you is, based on what you saw in week 1, how do you think that defense matches up against Carolina's offense? And more importantly, where would you say the strength of that defense is after one game of the season?
Well, certainly I think the secondary is the strength of the Saints at this point. I'm still not 100% certain about the offensive line. The defensive line. Cam Jordan looked good in week 1. Granderson looked very good as well. But none of those guys have been, outside of Cam, have been consistent. You have a lot of rookies and guys who are never found footing somewhere else on this defensive line, and they were playing up against a Titans offensive line that had 4 new starters. So I think you're still trying to see if the Saints are as tough against the run as they had been in the past. I was very surprised that quite frankly, that Tennessee stopped running the football. You know, they had 22 carries for 104 yards. They were running the ball fairly well and allowed Ryan Tannehill to throw them out of a game that they had a lead in. That was surprising. I wouldn't test the Saints secondary a lot, especially with a rookie quarterback. Marshawn Lattimore did a great job against DeAndre Hopkins. The Saints got a great production out of Alontae Taylor, him moving into the slot. Marcus May started making plays again. And I think, we could see what Tyrann Mathieu, if he is also going to start generating some turnovers. And this is the kind of game that he would be that against a rookie quarterback. So the strength of this defense is in the secondary. I think you could still run against this team. People forget the Saints were 22nd against the run last year and 19th in yards per carry. And I think that, I think you can run against this team. Carolina's success last year was running in the football.
And arguably in week 1, the success we had was with really running the football. Well, albeit the Atlanta Falcons had an effective rush game against us. And then you add in what their passing game was just de facto runs. They were just dumps to the running back. The Carolina Panthers still rushed for like 170 yards or something like that. And it was 5 yards a carry for Miles Sanders, 5.7 or something for Chuba Hubbard. And that's going to help the Carolina Panthers offense because take at least a little pressure off of Bryce Young. When you look at this team of the Saints, is that they were preseason going into this year, the favorites to win the division. Atlanta, arguably the second. How confident do you feel about this team right now? Do you think that this is a team that's got some strengths and that can pull it together? Do you have concerns? I mean, you said Derek Carr has a prove-it-like season. Are you dying to get Alvin Kamara back, or do you guys really have enough horses in the stable to be a contender throughout the season?
I think defensively, this team can be as good as anybody. And I think offensively, the skill positions are set, at full strength. You don't really have a weakness at the skill positions. Juwan Johnson is an excellent receiver. Foster Moreau is very good at the tight end spot. Taysom Hill does a little bit of everything. Michael Thomas looked like he had speed, considering all the injuries that he's been through. He ran away from people in a couple of instances, had big catches down the field. Chris Olave is as good a route runner as you're going to find in his second year. And then Rashid Shaheed had 100 yards receiving as well.
And a touchdown, right?
And a touchdown, that 19-yard catch. So I think, offensively, a lot of skill there, but I have big question marks about the offensive line. And the Saints are fragile. I think if somebody just pointed out, this is one of the oldest teams in the league. Exactly. There's not a lot of depth behind those veterans. So if one of those vets goes down, the Saints are in trouble. But they're high end. I think this is an 11-win team if everything goes right. If everything goes right, I know Juwan is a tight end. I'm saying the skill positions, tight end is a skill position. One of the guests is saying Juwan is a tight end. I know he's a tight end. But, sorry, I got distracted. But I think overall, the Saints can be an 11-win team. But if they get fragile, if there's injuries on that offensive line or they don't get consistency, then they can be a 7-win team again.
How does Jamal Williams fit in with this team, particularly not this week? I mean, when Alvin Kamara comes back, like my boy Kev in the chat says, Jamal Williams is a damn good back. How did he do week 1? What do you see his role being with his team? It's all dependent on the line. I mean, the last 2 seasons, Alvin Kamara, who's one of the best backs in the league, has looked mediocre behind the Saints offensive line. So Jamal Williams didn't really get a chance to get anything going. His longest carry, I believe, was 8 yards on Sunday, and I think that was the longest carry for anybody on the team. It was not good running the football. It has not been good running the football the last 2 years for the Saints. When they're at their best, they were getting close to a 50-50 type offense. They're not there right now. So I think Jamal Williams is going to struggle early until this line gets its act together. What kind of injuries you guys dealing with? I feel like the Panthers have been nicked up since they started signing people. It feels like we're nicked up early. Sometimes teams get nicked up late. What is y'all's health status? Are there any injury concerns or positions that maybe are thin on depth?
Peyton Turner, who was starting to come on this preseason and looked good at the start of this game against the Titans. He's got a bad turf toe injury that may require surgery, and that hurts the Saints in that defensive line rotation and trying to stay fresh there. But other than that, they're generally healthy. There's a couple of nobody's healthy after week one, as they say in the NFL. But overall, the Saints, where they need to be, are healthy. It's just, again, behind those starters is where the concerns are.
One of the matchups that people are really excited about is Brian Burns versus Trevor Penning. That everybody expects that to be a marquee matchup. We're in this weird holdout with Brian Burns where he wants more money, but him taking on a young Trevor Penning, do you expect that to be a weak point going into the matchup with the Panthers, or do you think Trevor might play all right?
Penning looked like a turnstile in week one.
2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Early nominating contests build momentum for 2024 contenders seeking the White House. C-SPAN is the place for political campaign enthusiasts, with unfiltered coverage surrounding the early primaries and caucuses, as well as speeches from key battleground states. Whether you're interested in your state's race or want to follow all of the political events, you can get immediate access to what the candidates are saying, plus nominating results in real time with the free mobile app, C-SPAN Now, or watch live on the C-SPAN networks.
He didn't look ready to play NFL football. It was bad enough that the commentators were talking about just how slow he was getting out of his stance. And so
Wow.
Maybe he should line up in like 20 yards back like the guy from the Chiefs did.
I'd like to see, maybe him move inside, and I think that may happen. You may see James Hurst move back to the left tackle spot, which he manned a lot last year. But, again, I am not 100% confident in this line. You had last week, you saw 45% of the passes that Derek Carr threw, he was under pressure. And so I am concerned a lot about teams being able to get to Derek Carr.
So I have 2 questions. One should be really quick. Cam Jordan, is he retiring this year?
Nah, he just signed that extension. Cam's going to play another 2 years probably.
He does not age, this dude. I want this guy to get old. I want this guy to get old. I tell you, Cam Jordan is one of those players that you love when he's on your team, and you damn hate him when he's on another team. If he was on my team, I'd love that dude.
Cam's about as close to, when you talk about people in the history of a franchise that's Mr. Whatever, Cam is the modern Mr. Saint. Even more so than Drew Brees, because Cam was drafted by the Saints and has had his whole career here. The only thing he hasn't done is win a Super Bowl. He is Mr. New Orleans Saint.
Yeah, for sure. And my next question is, history of Dennis Allen is he's not a good head coach, right? We've seen that when he was in Oakland. Unfortunately, his first year as a Saints head coach did not really change the tides on that either. Is he on the hot seat if this year doesn't go well?
I think so. He got all of his people in this year on the staff. The assistants that were, Sean's assistants are all gone. And quite frankly, I found this stat out last week, and this is how the NFL works. There are only 4 coaches in the history of the Super Bowl who started their career with 3 losing seasons. You guys want to wager a guess on who those 4 might be?
Matt Rule.
Well, yeah.
One? No, I'm talking about who won Super Bowls.
They've won a Super Bowl.
35 coaches who've won a Super Bowl. Only 4 started their careers with 3
about
straight
Pete Carroll?
losing seasons. Nope, not even Pete.
Bill Belichick.
Belichick's 1. The other 3, Tom Landry.
Okay.
Chuck
All
Noll.
right.
Oh, wow.
All right.
And Weeb Eubanks.
Wow.
Super Bowl 3.
So Dennis Allen is going to be a Hall of Fame coach is what you're telling
I
me.
was about to say,
I'm
don't
telling
make
you,
fun of me. I've
odds
never
are-
heard that last name in my life.
He coached the Jets in Super Bowl 3. Okay, so that's how
Wow.
far we're going back. And you talk about for Chuck Noll took over the Steelers when they were the worst franchise in the NFL. Tom Landry was the Cowboys' first coach. So never, Bill Belichick took over Cleveland when Cleveland was about to move to Baltimore. So very weird situations for all those guys. I don't think Dennis Allen is in that class. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel that. You know what I'm saying? So Dennis Allen has had, if you don't count his last season with the Raiders, where he got fired after 4 games, he started his career with 3 losing seasons. He's never won more than 7 games in a season.
Why'd they hire him then? Why'd they hire him?
The mistaken belief that there's such a thing as continuity of culture in the NFL. There's no the coach is the
But
coach.
wouldn't-
When the coach
wouldn't
leaves, the culture leaves.
I agree, but I also think wouldn't that make more sense if you went with your offensive coordinator instead of going with the defensive coordinator to do that?
You got to
Right?
remember, the Saints offense coordinator Pete Carmichael didn't even want that job at first. When Sean Payton left, Pete Carmichael wanted to step back and be just the passing game coordinator.
I want to be a consultant.
And then they had to convince him to take over the offensive coordinator job duties. In 18 games with the Saints, with Pete Carmichael being the primary play caller, with Sean Payton gone, the Saints have scored under 20 points or less 10 of those 18 games. So Pete Carmichael's got a lot to prove too.
All right. Fantastic stuff, David. Tell me this is what do you expect to happen on Sunday, or what do you foresee happening, and how important is this game for the Panthers or for the Saints?
Yeah, I think this is a division where 4 wins will win the division. The Saints, we know this is the best rivalry in the NFC South. And people will talk about Saints Falcons, they'll talk about whatever these other ones are. 14-14,
Wow.
Overall, I think all time it's 28-28, and the Panthers are 14-14 at home. The Saints are 14-14 at home, and
we got to take the lead, Cody. Cody,
Yeah,
you're going to be
great
there.
point.
The lead.
Great point.
This is a series that has meant the most. This is the most competitive series in this division, and it's always been difficult for the Saints to go to Carolina, a place that they've lost their last 2 in a row. So I think a lot of pressure is on the Saints to win this game. Going up against a rookie quarterback, and the Saints I think are 2-2 in their last 4 games against rookie quarterbacks. We'll see what happens. But I think this is a very close game again, and I think the first team to get to 20 wins.
Did the close game, do you think the close game and the kind of tough, gritty win against the Titans helped the Saints? As in sometimes kind of like a humbling moment, or do you think like, good Lord, I don't know, we're just trying to win, whatever?
I think a lot of teams in week 1 are just happy to get a win, as bad as the scoring was around the NFL. Just the quality of games in week 1 to get out with a win was enough.
Dude, I mean, if you look at the quarterback performances across the league for week 1, it was abysmal. Unless you were lucky enough to have 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks who actually scored over 20 points for their teams in fantasy. It was absolutely crazy to see this year. I mean, this first week go the way that it did. But I think that we'll see things start to mesh a little bit as the year goes on. I think many teams like the Saints were just sitting their starters. So I hate to say it, but no, the Panthers may be the team, especially with the injuries and with what it looks like our offense, is putting out there. We might be the get right team, game for the Saints to start to catapult their season. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I'm sure our guest here is more than happy to have that happen.
Yeah. David, again, thank you for your time, man. Right now, the Saints are indeed the betting favorite for Monday Night Football, a game which I'll be at, by the way, my first ever Monday night game, so I'm pumped about that. Carolina's at +3, New Orleans -3.
Not a giant spread, though.
It really isn't. My final question to you, David, is predict the outcome. Do you think New Orleans comes into Carolina?
And one of our listeners is interested in the over/under too.
Well, after what I saw last week, what's the over/under on this one?
Oh, it is. Oh, is it not up there?
Is it 40.5 points?
Okay. 40.5. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Man, you can't. You right. You already said it. It's a race to 20.
Yeah. So I feel like, this is a game. It's 20-17. So I got to take the under. I'm saying 2017 Saints.
Oh, wow. So then it's a push. It's a push. But this interview was not a push. This was fantastic. It was a win for all of us. David, can you please first thank you again to tell Cam he's the best, man. I love when he sends me an email. He always is thinking about us over here at C3, and I really appreciate it. Tell Terrence Copper I'm right down the street. And, man, I'm going to say what's up to him soon. I'm going to go by his performance studio. I'm going to be like, hey, help me dunk a basketball goal one day. Never going to happen. No. David, tell all our listeners, because the people that hang out with us on the C3 Panthers podcast are probably like the people that hang out with you on your podcast. They're the people that comb the internet for every piece of data, every little bit of intel. So they'll go listen to your podcast because they're going to want your insight on the team. Tell them how they can get after your work. I know you have that, not only the podcast, but you do a lot of writing as well.
Yeah, Bleav in Saints, another episode will be out on Wednesday. Terrence and I just recorded one this afternoon, so it'll be up then. And so check that out, Bleav in Saints, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. And you can check out Hard in the Paint Sports, and follow me at DM Grubb. And I host WBOK, the sports report from 4 to 7 Central, 4 days a week in New Orleans. So, yeah, you can catch me in a lot of places.
I'm going to give you the applause. Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, man. Thank you so much for giving us our time. If my mother wasn't in the chat, Mom, close your ears. Close your ears.
Fuck you, Saints.
Oh!
Hey, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say two things about Carolina. Number one, I've always respected the Panthers for the fact that they put the Sam Mills statue up.
Yeah.
I got to meet Sam, and I have Ricky Jackson is one of my favorite players of all time. And I got to meet Sam when he was a coach with the Panthers, one of my first gigs as a reporter, and to see him then and the respect that they've always given him. I've loved that. And I've always said this, Cam Newton's single MVP season, his MVP season is still one of the 5 greatest seasons I've ever seen a quarterback.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a Cam sexual, bro.
Now everyone likes you.
I mean, I'm sorry, like just as football, you take that offense and you name me somebody other than,
I know.
Greg Olsen. I can't tell you how he made that team 15-1. I can't tell you how.
Fire, brother.
I know. He took the law firm to the Super Bowl. Whatever. Burson, Brown, and Cotry.
So,
good gosh. All right. Thanks a lot, man. Fantastic stuff, man. We're definitely catching back up with you later in the season.
Let's do it. Look forward to it, guys.
All right. Peace and love, brother.
Go check out the Bleav in Saints podcast. Fantastic stuff right there. And Tim, I forgot. That is.
Yeah, that's his daughter.
I couldn't remember who did it. Woo!
Dude, yeah, I think his proudest moment was when we played it for Jonathan Stewart.
Oh,
we did do that.
And Jonathan Stewart was like, he's like my mom over there. Keep it clean.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you to Mama Dunn, who says that we all look great tonight.
Thank you.
So much.
You look great, Mama Dunn, as well. We love you. And don't forget, if you want to look great, below the belt or around the face
or in your nose.
Nose? the beard? Manscaped.com. Manscaped.com is the premier men's grooming product. Boy, they've been sponsoring the podcast for maybe about 4 years now. We've had several encounters with the Manscaped product. Mom, close your ears. Close your ears, Mom. Actually, don't. You got a little hair in your ears, guys? Use the little trimmers they give you, the nose trimmers, the ear trimmer. Now they've got a beard hedger, guys. CK, you might need a beard hedger right now.
Oh, no.
Maybe just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Potentially. No, I have one. I just haven't used it since I've been on vacation. So,
but manscaped.com, you can check the link down in the description. You use the promo code Panthers. You get 20% off plus free shipping. And they don't just have men's grooming parts. I mean, you don't want an afro puff around your, you know what? You don't want it to look like a little baby bird perched up on a nest. You want it to look big, beautiful, clean. You want to look clean. And you want to go to Sunday Night Football. You want to go out 90-degree weather, and you don't want to be chafing. You don't want to have all that, what I call swamp ass. And you won't have to, because you can get ball deodorant. You can get junk refresher. That's what I call it, junk refresher. Hey, on top of that, what you can really get too, some great gear. They got a great shirt. Every time I go out, compliments all around. And my favorite product from Manscaped is the men's toiletry bag. This beautiful masculine leather bag that you can put all your stuff in. You can put your Manscaped products in. Hell, you can put, I don't know, you can put a Cam Wow in there. You could put maybe even Caldera. You put whatever you want in there. Manscaped.com, free shipping, 20% off with the promo code Panthers. Let's keep going.
Yes, sir. Let's jump back into the show, gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit about this offensive situation that we have going on for the Panthers. Believe it or not, Bryce Young had the fourth most amount of time from behind the pocket out of any quarterback throughout this weekend of football. Our offensive line, especially early, is pass protecting like we wanted them to. Chandler Zavala has stepped up at right guard. Icky looked better than he did in the preseason. Christensen looks good. Taylor Moton looked all right. The problem is the Panthers wide receiver core doesn't make a lick of separation. We were one of the worst in the NFL. And really, it's just been sort of a compounding issue with this team that we do have the offensive line. Finally, for once, we have the offensive line. And now we're missing the weapons. It's par for the course. Frank Reich, when talking about Bryce Young's performance, says he has to throw away the ball. Says he got to throw the ball away 3 times to avoid sacks. He's not worried about stats and worried about the football team, which is wonderful. Praise Bryce Young's accuracy as well, including the interception, which Rex says wasn't on him. Boys, what is the state of our offense right now? And with the looming return of DJ Chark, what might DJ be able to add to this offense, if anything at all?
I tell you one thing is Frank Reich was sad yesterday. It was sad, Frank. Sad. Who's man, you could see he is taking it. He's feeling it. I won't say the pressure. He wants success. Who doesn't, right? The Carolina Panthers offensive line was fantastic. And you know what? I almost think it's a manufactured campaign against Brady Christensen at this point. Manufactured campaign. As you look at the numbers, it's like, how does that average? How's that guy got a better average than we got 2 better numbers? I don't get it.
It's so stupid, man. PFF.
I'm happy Icky playing well. I'm happy that the offensive line had a bounce back, right? And many a bounce back because they are recapturing, because that was a big concern. It was a giant concern from us after the preseason. So it's nice to see that. I would be cautious to say, hey, how good are the Falcons defense? How good is it? Are you just enamored by the fact that they went out and paid some guys? Calais Campbell or whatever. He's been in the league for like 16 years or something. Or with 12. I mean, it's like, so I wonder too, just how effectively talented they are. One question. I think Grady Jarrett, right, is clearly the mainstay of that. But you got to be happy that Zavala's playing well, that Moton has not. I'm glad we have it. I don't remember calling any of the offensive line's name. I do like hearing that. And I think the Panthers, if anything, once they fell behind, they felt probably obligated to abandon the run a little bit. They were running the ball effectively.
Well, that I think also like the one knock that I feel, and again, this might just be me looking at it because you see so many other quarterbacks with such incredible patience and letting a play develop. And I think Bryce Young is so quick getting through his reads. He's so intelligent, but he's getting through those reads so quickly. He's just throwing the ball out of bounds way more than he needed to. Right. I'm not saying that people were open, but when you go back and watch some of those plays, man, he was getting through his progression so quick and then just throwing the ball away. I'm not saying there wasn't pressure in his face, but I'm saying at the end of the day, like, I think that he might just need to take a minute, take a breath, use his escapability to extend the play a little bit more, because it just didn't feel like that was something that was happening very much. And that could, again, that may be entirely on the our offensive weapons not getting separation, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. But
I think that's exaggerated, though, CK. The separation discussion.
Even with that, like, you can't just use that as an excuse because Bryce Young should be able to throw these guys open too, right? Like, and some of this is on them. They weren't running the routes correctly, and one of the things I'm concerned about with Frank Reich also coming out here and saying that that's not on Bryce, that was something else. Like, that was a clear, like, that was a Bryce Young error. Like, you can't blame that on anybody else.
Especially the second one he did. But for Frank Reich, I've been saying this is he may be almost too much of a player's coach in some cases. Like, he is. I mean, wasn't it? So he's like, Brian Burns. He is the most professional, awesome dude. I cannot tell you how much I respect him, but we got to play the next day. And then it's like, oh, that is 100, 1,000, 100,000% on me. Nothing to do with Bryce Young. Man, the delay of game, not on Bryce Young. Communication. And look, at least, you know what? Thankfully, we got a coach who will fall on the freaking sword instead of Matt Rule, who would have pushed Bryce Young in front of a bus.
Yeah, man. And dude, is it out of the realm of possibility that he might just be telling the truth? Like, everybody,
he said this is I maybe put him in a difficult position. He was pretty honest in that. He said, we're kind of backed up in that. I call a play. Look, I think that was on. I think that is just this is that it was a mistake on Bryce's part. And you know what? The coach maybe didn't help him avoid the mistake.
Yeah. And whenever we hear something like that, people think, oh, that's making excuses for Bryce. And now C3 is making excuses for Bryce.
No, we're not.
Right. I know we're not. I'm saying it will be said that we are.
I saw great things from Bryce.
I agree. I also saw great things from Bryce. And, I felt like his poise, especially early on, is one of the reasons why we were in that game at all. Let's also be real. Terrace Marshall Jr. looked like straight trash, man. He was listed as number 2.
No. Early in the game, he looked fine. He looked fine. Wright complimented him about some of the things, some of the wrinkles, and how he ran some good routes early. He had some good catches. That I feel like this is every time we just find visible singular plays, and maybe that's okay to say because it comes down to 1, 2, 3 plays, the NFL. So, if you have a terrible play, he pulled up on that deep ball. He pulled up on it. I don't know if he didn't think Bryce was going to throw it. He didn't know what was going on, whatever. If he keeps running, that is straight down for a touchdown. And he's got to just play. I think Terrace Marshall Jr. is playing scared.
I mean, listen, 2.3 yards of total separation. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is he's listed as a number 2 wide receiver. Or basically, he's listed behind DJ Chark, right? There was no DJ Chark Now it was their moment to shine, and you weren't able.
You
to
were
do
making
anything.
excuses for him all in the postgame. Oh, he's hurt. He hasn't practice. Now you're coming out hard
No,
out the
I'm
gate
saying
on
that
this
he
mug.
didn't I'm saying the fact that he didn't practice might have contributed to the fact why he was out of place on
Or
a
maybe
number
he's
of
not as
different
good
routes.
as you thought he was in the very, very beginning.
The point being, he has not stepped up and he had the opportunity. And by the way, CJ Henderson, I said the same thing. Like there are no passes for players that have been here year in and year out and continue to show the same problems. We need to see some advancement from these players, and especially Terrace Marshall Jr.
The number is 252-228-5098. We need to get your thoughts on this receiving group. In fact, Cody, I caught up with Mike K today. Tomorrow, I'm dropping the full interview for a C3 beat check. I asked him about these wide receivers. I asked him, is this room capable enough? Are they talented enough? And let's see what. Here's a little tease of what my man Mike had to say.
At wide receiver, there were videos made showcasing how slow this wide receiver group is. I think, for a rookie quarterback, speed is great and everything, but I think having technicians and guys that can get to their spot is a smarter approach. I think that's what Frank Reich was trying to say. Terrace Marshall had some really good moments. He also had some miscommunications. It's week one. I think Jonathan Mingo kind of showed you what he has been kind of all summer. He'll flash a lot of brilliance, and then you'll kind of forget he's there. So I think he's just kind of learning and getting into that Z receiver role right now. But, yeah, I think speed is a problem if you really look at it. But I also think, the Panthers are taking this, 2016 Eagles approach to this team building. It's where they're trying to, set up foundational pieces and get things in motion. And then by hopefully next year, they'll be able to go out and spend on weapons and kind of fill the nest, so to speak. And the Eagles obviously won a Super Bowl in 2017 after that 2-year rebuild. I think the expectations for this team were, at least nationally, were really high for really no proven reason. And
we'll talk about that throughout the season. Is part of our disappointment, does it stem from inflated expectations? CK made a fantastic point, as Bryce should be his superpower is throwing these guys open. I think that this separation shenanigans statement is overrated. I don't think it's something that is going to I just look at these players and they are more talented than Britton Burson and Philly Brown.
That's fine, Tony. All I'm saying is that my eyes didn't lie to me. And there were multiple times when I saw a pristine pocket for Bryce Young and Bryce is holding on to the football. Now, I'm sorry. No time throughout Bryce's entire life playing football has he ever been known as the player that holds on to the ball too long. In fact, his main trait is running the offense in rhythm and getting the ball out of his hand. So to people like White Chocolate, yeah, I'm not just going to put all the blame on Bryce. They need to play better. Either they need to make more separation on their own, or Thomas Brown and Frank Reich need to do a better job scheming these wide receivers open and allowing some room for that big playability, or else we're the same old one-dimensional Carolina Panthers that's always dependent upon running the football in order to have any type of offense.
Holy cow, angel investor in the house. Jay Thomas. Bryce seems like a super nice guy, soft-spoken, maybe even a little nervous at the podium. You know what you should have done is put a, in there, I can't unhear it now. All he says. What do you guys think about him being able to lead a locker room full of apex predators?
I mean, dude, listen, I feel like leadership is not just, hey guys, let's go out there and whoop their ass.
Break their kneecaps or bite off their kneecaps.
Yeah, it's not just pumping up and motivating people. It's leading by example and everyone feeling like, all right, when Bryce is under center, the Panthers have a chance. And listen, say what you want about him. He might seem nervous at a podium, but he doesn't look nervous on the
He's
football
like
field.
21.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But was there any moment, Tony, when you looked at Bryce and said, "Oh man, Bryce is looking a little in above his head right
No. I saw no red flags. I saw no red flag. And look, if somebody be like, "Oh, shut up, Tony. He threw 2 picks in the same spot." And it's not. I'm not trying to be an excuse maker here. Is I've seen quarterbacks that I don't believe can do the job. I have seen people from Jimmy Clausen to David Moore to Taylor Heineke. And you know what? Taylor Heineke's probably the best out of all the guys in some ways. I've seen guys that have been terrified to throw the ball downfield. I've seen guys that don't know how to deal with pressure. I've seen guys that look like they don't know the game is too fast. Like I've seen, and it's different with each guy. Look, is that we wanted that game to go better for Bryce. We did. They come out and score in that. They score. They convert that 4th and 1 and somehow score and go up 7-1. That defense playing like that, putting the Atlanta Falcons into a passing type situation for the rest of the game. Lights out. I think and I know, and Greg's not here. Greg is not here. But I see traits that produce in the NFL already with Bryce Young. I just can't look at Bryce Young and find any bit of nervousness right now for me. I feel fine.
Yeah.
Do you
I feel fine.
Do you feel like Bryce Young was hindered by the play calling?
No. I think the play calling was just fine. In fact, Cody, let's go ahead and pull up one more tease. I hate this. Boy, my mind was blown. Mike K, he goes, "Hey, look at the pistol." We both are on the same page that we were fine with the play calling overall. But check out what he's got to say here.
All right.
I put
I'll
Cody
say
on
too
the-
is I think the pistol formation is going to work out really well for this team.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Here's why.
It looks so strange to have a running back like 20 yards in the backfield. It feels like he's 5 yards behind the guy and he's in shotgun.
Well, what's interesting about that is it gives him a rev up period, right? So,
like a freaking jet runway.
Right. So, what you would do with pistol, for those who don't know, is it allows you to see the defense fully, like you're under center, but you don't have to drop back, which allows you to keep your eyes up. And so that way, Bryce doesn't have to think about placement on the field. We just talked about Smith-Marset and where he didn't know where he was. It's one less thing for him to think about. It's also less for the running back to think about because when you're doing a design run, you have less vision there. Like you don't have the vision you would if he was under center or if you were to his side. So you're basically going to your target mark. And so I think that kind of helps make the game a little bit simpler.
So there's some tease right there about the pistol formation, which I think is the most bizarre thing when I see it in the NFL. It's like you're in shotgun, and Bryce Young looks so small, so I guess maybe it looks like shotgun looks even farther away. Like it's like, and then the running back is another 3 yards or 4 yards behind him. Crazy. When he talks about a runway, boy, you get a runway, and you can't. I asked him, I said, "Do you hand it off?" He's like, "Yeah, you hand it off all the time." I was like, "Good God." I don't like plays that start that far behind the line of scrimmage personally.
Yep. So White Chocolate decided he wanted to donate.
This mug called out Devontae Adams. He compared
I know, man,
in the fucking NFL
two
to
of the
Adam
best receivers. Dude, for $4.99 says Thielen and T&J had better separation times than Devontae Adams and Devonta Smith. Yeah, they got catches.
Oh, okay. All right. I misread it.
No. What he's trying to do is say that Bryce Young played like absolute dog shit and that Bryce didn't get them the football when he had the opportunity to do so.
He's a fool, and don't I know
Come on,
it?
man. Dude, I'm putting him, Greg, everyone in the same category, man. They're jumping off the deep end entirely too early.
They're leaning in. It's almost, I feel like, a shtick.
Yeah, and you know what the bullshit about it is? I know that white chocolate has seen far worse quarterback performances than what Bryce did last
They're
Sunday.
leaning into it. It's a stick at this point.
Yeah, I have to agree, man.
And I think this is, if it's not a stick, they are certainly leaning into the position. The more pushback you get, the more that Greg is going to look. Greg must be cutting his grass. Must be cutting his grass, dude.
Speaking of the grass, CK has to return to mow his. He has to be up very early in the morning.
Use the promo code Panthers when you go mow the grass.
Mow the lawn.
I got a long drive back home in the morning, so I'm gonna go get some rest. But I appreciate you guys and thank you for hanging out with me tonight, and thank you everybody in chat for hanging out with us tonight as well. We'll see you guys Monday night for a really late post game show, which we got to figure that out, and obviously we'll get the Madden sim done this week as well. Figure out how we're going to do that with the format and whatnot. But if you guys didn't get a chance to check it out last week, it was eerily similar, and it predicted a tremendous amount of what we saw in the actual game. So it's quite interesting to go, check that out. But just keep an eye out for that notification. Hit that notification bell so you can keep an eye out for our content as it drops throughout the week.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Hey, later, guys.
Thank you, CK, man. The voice that makes them moist.
How about this? C3 Anthony with the return fire says, bro, Kevin wanted Sam Darnold back after a 43-yard game. So, man, everybody overreacts. Everybody has their terrible takes, man. But it's time to move on. And dude, I'm not panicking. Yeah, Antonio, we never really mentioned this. And then let's do some calls after.
Yeah, I'm ready for the calls right now.
Yeah. But what I was saying is with DJ Chark, well, let's do this. Ponder this while we listen to a few. DJ Chark, what is his return going to mean for the Panthers going forward?
Super important. Yeah. Let's hit these cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. This is y'all's show. It's the people's voice. Y'all are the people. This is the longest running Panthers podcast. Getting these calls. Cody Lack. Let's hit these cat calls.
Let's roll.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, put my elbow on the arm. We don't hear nothing, Tony.
You don't hear nothing? Oh.
But I mean, at the same time,
can you hear it now?
Me taking myself like as a realistic Panthers fan.
I'm starting it over.
It was good, fellas. It's Corey calling in. It's Monday. Hopefully, he plays on a Tuesday.
Corey, what's up?
But damn, excuse me. Just wanted to get my thoughts on the game. Obviously, a tough loss. Not anything that you want to see out of week one. Hurry up. But I mean, at the same time, me taking myself like as a realistic Panthers fan, a Debbie Downer Panthers fan, whatever you want to call it. Nothing that we saw out of yesterday was too surprising. It's just that the projections that the homers and the bright side guys, the projections that we made that it made didn't necessarily come through like we wanted. It's like, okay, so I mean, we knew going into the game that at least you should have known that our receivers were mid. And this isn't me taking a victory lap or doing anything like that, but it's just, I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. Like, a whole bunch of us tried to tell y'all the whole offseason that our receiving core is bottom of the barrel. Like, it's not good. And people are talking about, oh, well, then and then and then and then. But it's like you're projecting a whole bunch of shit that we haven't seen before. Like, you're talking about Adam Thielen, who's, hasn't had a 1,000-yard year in 5 years and is 33 years old and has never been a fast guy to begin with. Yeah, he's going to struggle to convey separation. Terrace Marshall is a talented receiver, but he's got 600 receiving yards in his career. Don't sit here and tell me that this guy can be all this when we haven't seen it yet. We just hope that he can. Jonathan Mingo's a rookie. Like, this is the kind of shit that we like. Everything that we talk about is like, this shit doesn't just happen like that. Like, our receivers are going to be bad, and we're going to be able to see it, and it's going to be obvious. I mean, that's the kind of shit that we saw yesterday. I mean, JC, it is what it is at this point. We all knew coming into this year that if JC got hurt, our DBs are not going to be good. It's not even the DB's fault really yesterday that we lost, but the one big play that we had, guess who was on the other end of it? You know what I mean? So this is the shit that we like. The one thing that I can say that was disappointing or a little bit, disappointing to me was Bryce with the 2 picks. Not even necessarily the fact that 2 picks, but that they were the same exact play. And it's like, all right, man, like, you wouldn't expect somebody who's supposed to be like the smart quarterback, quote unquote, to make the same bad read 2 times in a row. So I don't know if he legitimately didn't see bait or if he thought that he could squeeze it in there and, he's just a better, faster safety than what he's used to. I don't know. I'm going to run out of time on this call. Hopefully I get a second one in, but let me see.
Corey, I appreciate you, brother. And yeah, I mean, I do think that is something that plays into this. Panther fans had very high expectations. And Corey, you touched on something that I've been saying for a while, bro. This Panthers team does not have the depth to be able to be an injury-prone, injury-ridden team this year. We just don't have that type of depth. And you already see them scrambling last minute to do something to the defensive back core in the form of Troy Hill and Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, man. And yeah, Bryce is going to have to learn what throws he can and cannot get away with in the NFL. I mean, that's a part of his evolution as a quarterback. And sometimes you have to learn that on the fly, man. I would much rather him and get it out of his system early than later on this season, man.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, man, part 2 of Corey's call. Like I'm saying, you don't want to see Bryce throw 2 picks in his first game. And I don't really know what to attribute those plays to, because they were literally the exact same situation. So it's
do we have the passing chart?
Is he just not used to the speed of the NFL yet? Like, what is it? Like, what was processing in his mind? So, like, after the first pick, it's like, boom, I'm gonna do the same thing. And even after the first pick, he came back on the very next drive and was thinking, boom, 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 dot, 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 Hayden Hurst touchdown.
I think it was a welcome to the NFL play, Corey.
But like that was kind of the best that we could hope for with the weapons and shit that we have. Oh, Miles Sanders. Let me talk about him. Like, Miles Sanders is an ass. Like, let me go ahead and start by saying that. But I was telling y'all too. I mean, he's not a game changer running back. He's gonna get what's blocked for him, and essentially that's what he did yesterday. I mean, like he's fine. I'm not upset that we signed him, but we propped him up, or fans propped him up. It's like Hayden Hurst, Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders, 1,200 yards, all these and it's like, bro, these names, they sound good because they're new on our team, but when you objectively look at the kind of player they are, these aren't the guys that are going to move the needle for you, especially when you have a rookie quarterback who is, now, let's all be real, I'm not giving up on Bryce. That would be ridiculous to do after one game, but Bryce was never advertised, and we never saw him as the quarterback that is going to be able to mask all these different flaws and put the team on his back and win. It's like, no, that's not the kind of player he's a point guard. He's even keeled. He's smart as hell. He can distribute the ball evenly. He's gonna know what to do at the right time, that kind of shit. But when you have that kind of player with mediocre skill positions around them, it's not. I mean, the potential for big plays isn't really there. And while Bryce made mistakes that we hope to not see from him moving forward, I don't really see where we get significantly more production from. Because don't get me wrong, the Falcons have a really good secondary, but their defense and all that, they didn't get no kind of pressure on it. Our offensive line was looking real solid. Like Bryce he wasn't back there running for his life. He was back there sitting around looking for somebody to come open. And, I don't know, man. Brian Burns, he's Brian Burns. Y'all already know how I feel about him. Pay the man. I don't give a fuck about what y'all talking about, what he did in the second half and all this kind of shut the fuck up. Y'all are dorks. I don't know, man. Keep pounding. The sky ain't falling, but I mean, it is what it is. I never thought we were going to be a 10-win team anyway. Let me know what y'all think.
Keep pounding. Listen, there's a lot of truth.
Problems with that.
I do too. There's a lot of truth to what you were saying, but at the same time, it's too early for it, man. I think really
Bryce Young can make these players better. I just think just because he didn't do it immediately in week one, which he almost did.
Right.
He almost did, right? I mean, look, if you look at this passing chart, you're right. He is right. These are the identical, they're identical interceptions. This is what Greg's going to latch on to is the cerebral quarterback. He doesn't make the same mistake twice. I think this is welcome to the NFL moment. That window looks open.
Sure.
I think it looks open in college, and you go, oh, shit, that is not open in the pros.
Yeah, he trusted his arm a little bit too much. And you know what? I would rather him trust his arm and at least have the balls to make some of those throws than to do like Teddy Bridgewater and never make them.
I can't fuck with this Miles Sanders slander that people are getting on, bro. People are all like, oh, Miles Sanders just okay. Miles Sanders. Like, the Carolina Panthers, he rushed 18. Look, he did 4 yards a carry. He had a fumble. You take that fumble away, Miles Sanders had a good game, right? The only thing is Chuba he broke off one big-ass run that made his stats, or 2 big-ass runs that helped make his stats go 9 for 60. Miles Sanders is actually fine. If anything, I think this is the Carolina Panthers were rushing the ball remarkably effectively, but once they fell behind, they get out of the running game. I think Miles Sanders, I don't have a problem with Miles Sanders. None. Zero. Zilch. Except for a fumble. He should have fumbled the ball. It sucks that you fumbled. You're not supposed to fumble. Yeah. He was so close to being down. Like a quarter of a second later, he is down. I just think this idea that we go, oh, we don't got no weapons. Oh, we don't got no. I think it is, there is a degree of truth. Do we have is Miles Sanders and Bijan Robinson? Or is Miles Sanders Christian McCaffrey? Is Miles, probably not. But at the same, is Adam Thielen Devontae Adams? No. Is Adam Thielen Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson? No. But I don't think that all of a sudden we have one game where we actually squander the win. We own the time of possession.
Yeah.
We own the plays. If you really, and I know it's like, what if you took away the interceptions? The Carolina Panthers, outside of 3 plays, played better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not. Look, and when I say I'm not worried, I don't think I'm sticking with my prediction. We're 8-9. We're an 8-9 team. I think that's where we're at. If we go above 8-9, we overachieve. If we go under 8-9, I think we underachieve. But I'm not sitting here going, no talent. No talent.
And by the way, the comparison that we're hearing of Teddy Bridgewater to Bryce Young, bro, get the fuck out with that shit, dude. Like at least Bryce has the courage to push the ball downfield. And again, I'm also not going to overreact to one season opener. Tony, you know what I say about how long it takes to really be able to tell who the real contenders are. So now,
I'm not ready to say we're a contender. I think we're a middle of the pack. I think we're better than we have been. And I don't think, I think we're better than we have been and worse than we have been.
Is there any chance that we're better than last year?
Yeah, well, I think we can be better than we were last year, and the record not really show it.
Then that's a contender for the playoffs.
Okay. There's only 10 likes right now.
No, refresh.
Please. Man, we have big numbers on the post game. We need y'all's help. We need your help. Be a friend, tell a friend, share the show. It's not just a thumbs up. It's not just a like. It's a comment afterwards. If you comment on tonight's show, if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, I got you, bro. You comment after the show, I'll make you a short. On the Tuesday night show, I'm doing this until the comments get so crazy that I can't keep up with. But y'all ain't pushed me there yet. I'm ready. I will short your ass up. I'm ready. But we need your help, man. I feel like I feel like our community is strong as ever. I feel like our numbers should be even bigger than they are. That's how I feel. So I thank every single person for their time, their energy, their attention. But I need one more thing. A thumbs up, a share, a like, a call into the show. The number's 252-228-5098. And tell me, what is Muscles? What did he say his last four numbers were? 70, 46. Let me find this because he's my paisan. Here he goes. Here you go, Muscles. So you could go to bed and make some great, wonderful food. I've been dreaming about those peppers with the prosciutto and the mozzarella and the oil. Oh, delicious. Monster Sub, Spartanburg, my paisan. Let's see what he's got to say. You better not be talking no shit about Bryce.
C3 paisans, how you doing?
What's up, Muscles?
Well, I got to say, the most disappointing thing after that game Sunday, the fucking fans, man. Like, what the fuck did you expect, bro? Hey, I'm fucking seeing win, fire the coach, win, trade this guy, win, shut up. It's the fucking first game. Everything's new. He wasn't going to go out there and throw 500 fucking yards, 5 touchdowns. This is fucking Madden, bro. All right? This shit takes time. All right? There's no fucking magic wand in football. Some of you motherfuckers act like this is your first fucking season watching this shit. It's kind of fucking sad. Anyway, fucking, tighten the fuck up a little bit. Yeah, we're going to lose. Yeah, we're going to look like shit. But you know what? It's called building. That's what we're doing. So fucking take the stick out of your ass and just fucking chill, bro.
I love it, man.
Anyway, have a good show, boys. Keep pounding.
Yeah.
Thank you, Muscles.
Oh, shout out, PJ. We
He's
need that right now.
He's got a restaurant, but he's probably in the sanitation business too. With a voice, with an attitude like that. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call. Uh-oh. They're quiet. All right. Next call.
Yo, guys. How's it going?
It's Nick.
Just on my way to work. Figured I'd call in.
Nick, what's up, brother?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I just saw the score. I haven't sat down and watched the game. I looked at the stats real quick. I know stats don't tell the whole story or anything like that. I'm going to sit down and watch the game this week. But I'm not. Now, granted, like I said, need to sit down and watch the game. And I'm assuming that it was one of those deals where we just got run all over because we are in a whole new scheme. It takes a minute for us to get adjusted to it, that sort of deal. And we weren't necessarily great against the run last year, and we slumped to a 3-4, which is worse against the run. And the Falcons drafted Bijan Robinson. Like, I expected
them
looking
to
at
run
the
the
stats,
ball.
I'm not surprised in what happened yesterday. I'm really not. Like, I know that we added a whole bunch to this defense and that sort of deal, but we had way too many questions. And it was the first game of the season. Like, plus we saw what Bijan Robinson did in the preseason. Okay, it doesn't surprise me. And I'm sure people are all sorts of pissed off and bent out of shape, but it's like, guys, it's the first game of the season. Okay, give it a little bit and let's see what goes on. Okay, started 3-0 with Sam Darnold 1 year. and we were thinking that we were going to go to the playoffs. How did that fucking turn out? Okay, like, take a chill pill, relax, smoke a little weed, okay? Everything's going to be okay.
Oh.
Now, when it comes to JC, when it comes to paying Burns, at this point, guys, I've had my knocks on Brian Burns, but at the end of the day, he does make this team better. And you bet your ass I would pay Brian Burns over J.C. Horn right now. I love J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn has been my favorite fucking corner in the league since he fucking got here. And ever since I saw that dude play, it was like, yeah, no. This dude, he needs to fucking stay here. But he can't stay on the fucking field. You know, you need players to be available. And when he plays basically half the games, you know, that's not enough to sign somebody. And JC, this is your year where you really got to step up and prove it. We know that you can be the dog. You just got to be the dog all day, every day, not half the time. And that kind of goes to Macarell too.
Oh,
okay, you can't just go to a different fucking team.
There it goes. Look,
okay,
he's got a
and
little
then not
bit
show
more.
up to
He wants
practice.
He's depressed, dude.
Like, dude, I get that you got I get that you got moved to the practice squad and shit like that. But like, dude,
welfare checkup for Matt Corral coming here. He's got something to say about your
bro. You went up to New England. You aren't taking over for Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones isn't gonna look great this year, I don't think. Okay, but I don't think you're taking that job from Mac Jones. So you being all fucking in your own head and shit, taking days off, that's not the way to fucking deal with this shit, dude. Especially because a whole bunch of guys gave you fucking props last offseason for fucking doing everything fucking right on the sidelines that you possibly could to fucking get the job.
Mm.
Like, dude, just because you fell on your face once doesn't mean that fucking that's it, game over. Get back up, dust yourself off, come back with the fucking vengeance. Yes, you got a Liz Frank injury, and it fucking sucks. And I still laugh at fucking the Pats for picking up 2 of our fucking quarterbacks that they gave Liz Frank injuries to. I will never let them live that down. Anyways, I'm rambling. I hope you guys have a good night. Everybody, ease up, smoke a little weed. Life gets a whole lot better when you do.
He's from Massachusetts. He can do that. Somebody said, look, is Josh asked, thank you, Josh. Always a support of the show. And C3 super fan for just $1.99. You can be a C3 super fan and get benefits like Mega Mingo that we play on the post game show. He says, anyone heard why Corral got ghosted out? Somebody raised this is that he has had a history of depression. And it was like, we need to do a welfare check on him. Interesting there. Anthony Picarello, we know you got 2 calls. You always got 2 calls. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, C3, this is Kyle Schofield from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Kyle, what's up, bro?
This is my first call, so I've been listening religiously on the
Monster
Apple Podcast app for the last 2 years. Can't really make the shows on Tuesday, but I appreciate everything you guys do for the Panther fans and for us. But I was just calling in early in the morning here on Tuesday. I'm not really sure what y'all talked about on the show, but I'm just kind of confused why the Panthers have, I believe it's 5 edge rushers on the roster, but only used 2 on Sunday. Eater only got 4 snaps on defense. Barno got none.
Great question.
He only played special teams, and DJ Johnson, who we traded up for,
didn't play at all.
No playing time at all. That was just really, really confusing. But also, just want to say, I know he can be angry sometimes, but I think Greg needs a little more respect. I mean, Bryce Young, yes, he looks like he could possibly be the part one day, but Sunday he really didn't show any flashes like you're really hoping for. I mean, you got the least amount of passing yards of any receiver, I mean, any quarterback, and who do the Texans really have a receiver that's going to terrify you like the Panthers? So I was just calling in.
Sad.
Appreciate everything that you guys do again. Keep pounding and go Wake Forest.
Wow. Great
Keep
call.
pounding.
How about this? I'll give you the applause. I love to hear people that listen on the audio versions later. Sometimes Like they're not always in the live show, but they are part of our community, and we have such rich conversations with them. So thank you for your call. Let's address the rotation. I think at first glance, this kind of was like, this is weird, right? Is Justin Houston doesn't have any sacks, which, okay, he's old. Brian Burns has a great game. Derek Brown had a good game. But and again, this is a little tease too. Again, another tease for the Mike K interview tomorrow morning. I asked him about this, and he referenced the number of snaps that this team had, and the offense had something like 70 snaps, and the defense had like 50. So I think that the defense, they didn't have to rotate as much.
Yeah,
is like maybe in a case where there's drives, but the turnovers and the interceptions gave them short fields. And I don't think the defense was out there. I'm going to try to, you go ahead and take over what you think about that. Mike K is not a believer, not in your YGM, but in YGM in a 3-4.
I don't know, man.
He thinks it's a schematic thing. He thinks that he could be a role player in another team in a 4-3, but it's just not the right fit in Carolina.
I mean, maybe so. Listen, Tony, I don't have a super strong opinion. Because on one hand, it's like, yeah, Brian Burns is who we know that he is, and everyone else, they really didn't do much of anything. So right now, it's like I don't have some hope. A lot of the calls have been talking about Panther fans being more realistic and not setting our expectations too high. It's year one with a brand new coaching staff, with a brand new quarterback. Well, we're moving to a 3-4 for the first time, and a lot of these players are doing brand new things that if they were here before, they didn't have to do. So I'm hoping that someone steps up. But Tony, I'd be lying to you if I told you that there was anyone else on this roster besides maybe Justin Houston that I felt would be able to really make a difference for us this year and be a legitimate outside edge rusher. Like, I mean, who should I trust in? Maybe YGM will be all right at that position, but
I don't know. I don't know if you should trust in anybody. I think that would be, to say you should trust in anybody would be asking you to establish trust without having any data. So I think it would be weird for you to trust in anybody because we haven't seen anybody. We don't know what the defense is going to. I think maybe Frankie Luvu, tackles for loss, could be like some sort of, he's the missile. Maybe Amari Barno can make some splash plays. I don't know but I mean, if you just look across the board, there's not experience and talent enough to go, oh, well, that's the guy. I think that's almost a impossible thing to say. If you said that, you would be just being, would have like blinders on. So I think it's fair to say you don't have that, but let's look at a couple of things here. How about this? The Falcons were 2 for 10 on third down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win for the Carolina Panthers defense, right? They had net passing yards. They had 91 net yards passing, right? They threw the ball 4 times. So we talk about Ritter having a good completion, but 4 of those throws were for a loss. So you can look at a completion, you say, oh, look at his completion percentage. But 4 of those throws were for a loss.
Well, right, but Tony, I feel like this is later in the ball game when the defense has been out on the field too long. And after J.C. Horn goes down, that's when they started to look a little bit better.
He didn't throw the ball at all. He had one play to pitch. He only had one play to pitch.
I'm saying for the most part, that game offensively for the Falcons wasn't that great.
Right.
But my thing is I don't necessarily know who to attribute it to. If anything, I'm giving way more credit to Shai Tuttle and Derek Brown for the jobs that they did, man. Derek Brown looked mean up the middle, and I really do think that's going to be one of the more important parts of our defense this year. Antonio, you felt like they were running the football all over.
They did. All right. So here is the thing: is if you look at how their passes were, they only had one downfield pass the entire game. So if you look at their passing statistics, and you look at what is Ritter's. So we're going to look at this. We're going to look at Ritter's. He was 15 for 18. So 4 of those passes were actually losses. I would go on to guess that there were 10. So there's 11 more completions that were positive game. I would bet you that 8 out of those 11 were to running backs. Where it is a de facto run play. Like it goes in the book. All right, so how about I lost my prize pick? And actually, you know what? This is a perfect time. Let's do some prize pick here. I lost a prize pick this week because I was like, hey, man, Panthers run defense, which is true. I was like, Bijan, they're just going to run the ball. He's going to get a touchdown. He got a touchdown, but they passed it. And they passed it behind the line of scrimmage, dude. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it goes in the books as a passing play, but it was a de facto run play, right?
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
I don't think, and this is where Greg is. Thank God he's cutting his grass right now. I watched the game, and I know you can find all this, and the eye test sometimes works, guys. Ritter looked terrible.
He did.
One play to Pitts. You take away that Pitts play. How long does anybody? Let me see. What was the Pitts? Pitts had 0 catch. Pitts and Drake London had 0 catches at the half.
Yeah, we shut them down.
This is what it comes down to: is Pitts had, let's see, receiving. He had 2 catches for 44 yards. He had a 34. So think about this: one catch. He had 1 catch for 34 yards. And then later in the game, he got another 10-yard catch somewhere. That means that Desmond Ridder, who threw 115 yards passing, what is that? Almost 25% on one play. And then you think of this. Look at his number.
Would you say Bryce was better?
Yeah, aside from the turnover. I mean, I know it's impossible to say aside from because people could be like, oh, whatever. But is Bijan Robinson had 6 targets, 6 catches, 27 yards. Michael Hollins had 3 catches, 31 yards. Algier. So look, 2 of their top 3 receivers, in a sense, were running backs. Look, what are our top receivers? Hurst, Sanders. Sanders have 4. I mean, we're just talking number of receptions. You want to go yards or receptions? I would say this is that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that caught passes from Bryce Young. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no, Drake London didn't even catch a pass. No, only 4 people caught passes. Look at this. Actually, here, let me show it one more time because I can't believe, because I almost counted it off. I thought, look, Bijan Robinson had 6 catches for 27 yards. Hollins had 3 catches for 31 yards. Algier had 3 catches for 19. Kyle Pitts had 2 catches for 44. They gave Desmond Ridder 1 catch for -6. Drake London had 0 catches, bro.
So what do you attribute this to, Tony? Are the Falcons' offense ass, or do we actually have something resembling a nice defense that we might be able to go somewhere with?
I think because it's turnovers. Short field, they didn't have to do much.
Listen, we get mad at Greg for only looking at the stats and really honing in on the numbers. And we say that it doesn't necessarily tell the entire tale. And I believe the same way about that, too. Like, even those small mistakes will lose you a football game.
Yeah,
Like that
that's what it came down to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So are you saying that this is a hope for optimism?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like, I think that it's ridiculous to think that they just beat us. I think we beat ourselves more than they beat us.
All right. So how are you feeling going into New Orleans?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the Saints yet. I mean, I don't know. It's like I don't know enough about the Panthers either.
Right.
And what I mean is that if we're going to just beat ourselves, I can't have faith in our team if we're just going to beat ourselves each week.
Yeah.
I just don't think I don't think that we're as bad as people are saying.
Tony, I want to jump to this now. The Panthers have signed Tariq Cohen from North Carolina, grew up in Charlotte, grew up in the Carolinas, has not played since 2020, back on the Carolina Panthers, and this was first reported by his fiance or his wife on Instagram, congratulating him. What did you think this does for our offense? You know, I said Chuba Hubbard played well, had an incredible amount of yards per carry. But what are you thinking about Tariq Cohen being back on this team right now? I like the move, but I don't necessarily
practice
know
squad, though, right? I think he went to the practice squad.
I mean, he's a big-time player, man. He's done a lot before.
I think he dealt with some injury, right? And he had trouble getting back from the injury. You know what this tells me is that we don't know what we're doing on special teams and return game. That's what I would say is that I don't think he's going to come in there and take carries away from Chuba, Miles Sanders. Might as well just give Blackshear some carries. I think we're trying to find an answer in the punt return and kick return game.
I mean, you really think that's
why Big
though?
Jordan is saying, yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to bring a guy in who hasn't played football in 2 years or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden put him on the practice, and all of a sudden Miles Sanders fumbled once, so we're going to go with Chuba and Tariq Cohen. Now, what if he can be an explosive play? Look, you got to make a difference on special teams, and then you might find your way into the lineup.
I mean, I don't know. If you're going to make a move on offense, why just be a special team move?
It's practice squad,
I think he has more talent than people are giving him credit, or more than you're giving him credit for, I'd say.
No, I'm not diminishing his talent. I'm saying realistically, the role he's going to play on this team cannot be part of the offense, right? Like that would be silly to think he's going to be an effective part of this offense. He doesn't know the playbook.
As time goes on,
let him catch a punt.
I think he'll be
and not run towards the fucking end zone.
They're going to put him in the backfield. I don't know when.
No, they're not.
Yeah, all right, bet me. Chat, what do you think?
Bet you.
Do you think that they're not going to put Tariq Cohen in the backfield?
No.
I'll tell you right now they are.
There's no way before week 7, unless there's major injuries, this guy is on as a running back.
Not more than just a punter, man. He had a breakout year for the Bears. It was either
like fucking 2017.
20. Yeah, but so what? That's more than Chuba has ever done.
Might as well put Cam Newton in the backfield then.
Nah, so you say you're never going to see him in the backfield?
Not before week 12.
Oh, you're ridiculous right now. Really?
No, I'm not. No. I bet you Laviska Shenault gets 10 times more carries than Tariq Cohen ever does.
All right.
I don't know if I just kind of made that stat up. No, I think this is he's going to make it. If he finds he's on the practice squad, dude, he's not even on the active roster. That's like saying all of a sudden that I think that Matt Corral is going to make a difference on this team.
Oh, it's not the same thing.
Devon, what is your big boy? What's the big fat boy?
The
guard.
Blastoise.
Yeah,
Deontay Brown.
Yeah.
Deontay Brown.
Oh yeah. Oh
no, he's a much better player than Deontay Brown.
Oh, but first of all, no, he just plays a different position.
Listen, I'm not. No, you're making it sound like I'm pumping him up.
You are.
No, I'm just saying that
This is a feel-good story.
He is not just a a kick returner for the Panthers.
All right, guys.
We're going to see him.
Don't forget the C3 Panthers podcast now for 2 years in a row has been sponsored by Prize Picks. And even if we weren't sponsored by Prize Picks, we'd be playing Prize Picks. And we know that our audience loves Prize Picks. If you use the promo code C3, you go to Prize Picks and use the promo code C3, or there's a direct link in the chat. You can just click that. It'll auto-populate it. If it's your first time depositing money on Prize Picks and you use that promo code C3, they will give you a 100% deposit bonus match up to $100. You put in $100, you get $100 in promo funds. You put in $99, you get $99 in promo funds. And on top of that, Prize Picks has something each and every day and every week that makes it almost free to play at times. They'll have protected picks on Fridays, flex picks. They will have free squares from week to week. They'll have discount squares. I tell you this, the discount square with Dak was a beauty. All Dak had to do was complete one pass. He did that. The problem is I put all my money with Bijan. Here, you want to see this? I'll show you guys this. I want to show you my pass. I was so mad at this. I thought I had this win. I had a good and a bad week. Bijan, he didn't get 71, but he got it all in the passing game. How about this? Bijan again down here. Where is it? Hold on. He got a touchdown, but he didn't get the touchdown. Where the heck is it? Come on. Gosh, where was that Dak free square at? Good gosh, am I scared? He got the touchdown, but he got it catching the ball, not rushing the ball. Kind of messed me up. Look at this. Here's a win for me. By the way, Russell Wilson, is he cooked? Is he done? I got to go watch that game. What the hell is going on with him? He might be like Baker. It's just each and every week, just take the less than on Baker and Russell. Look, look at this. I hit the less than on Baker right there. Bye-yow. I hit the more than like a dummy on Russell Wilson. But I got Kenny Pickett. By the way, Kenny Pickett had like 89 yards in the start of the fourth quarter. Booyah. Man, he hits it right there. Thank God I did a flex there. Win there. You want to see this? This was a cool one. This is my favorite. I call this where is it? Hold on. Look for, gosh, I play a lot of Prize Picks. I can tell. I got to scroll down here a little bit. This is my favorite. Oh, there's a win right there. Richardson. Correct. Oh, that's preseason. I had one in here. Am I in your account?
No, ain't no way.
I won I call it the G-Baby special because I won some loot on, gosh, can't be open anymore. Where is it? Now I feel like a dummy. I won 60. Look for plus. Here it is right here. Look at this. This is the G-Baby special right here. WNBA. Booyah! Booyah, 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 booyah. Booyaka, 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 booyaka. That's what I should say. Boy, Prize Picks is so fun to play. It's the best place to play daily fantasy football. Put your skills to the test. The way it works, you have to pick multiple players. The rule, 2 players, 2 different teams, but you can go 3 players, 4 players, 5 players. You can play power play. You can play flex. You can put in $20 and win 60 if you get it right. You can put in $20 and win 100 if you get it right. It's fantastic, and we're about to play Prize Picks right now. If you're going to play Prize Picks, though, and you haven't done before, you need to use the promo code C3. First, it keeps Prize Picks helping us each and every year, and they have been our best sponsor. Telling you. And you know what? Cody, look at the DMs. Them boys be going wild in that Prize Pick. They love it.
Hey, so many C3 super fans have made so much easy money using Prize Picks, playing daily fantasy sports. There is not a single sport that you could possibly want to play that Prize Picks does not have, dude.
Play
Literally
anything.
everything. But man, now that this NFL season is underway, use your football aficionado to make you a little bit of scratch, man.
Already got it right away. Number one is first. We talked to our guest tonight. He said, look, the strength of the Saints is their secondary. The question is the run game. The Panthers ran the ball effectively in week 1. Miles Sanders right here, 50.5. More. Easy.
Yes,
I think the risk, I think there might be a little, I think Bryce Young beats this number easy. I do think he beats it.
But you won't pick it, though.
No, I think if I'm looking at the two between these, I think this is the safer of the two.
Yeah, between the two for sure.
Right. So what we would do, we want to go to NFL entire. Do we want to look at what the Saints? Let's check what the Saints numbers look like. Amos 52.5. Ooh, that's a dang.
Yeah, you probably have to take the over on more on that.
More. I almost think this could be this is a trap.
Less?
Maybe. It's kind of like this is we might be looking for you might be like, look, is he had 300 yards? They came late. Missing Horn. I don't know what our secondary is going to look like entirely. Is this game put up a little bit more points than week 1? I don't feel great about this one. But if he gets around this number, Olave's getting some of that action. He's getting some of that juice. But I want more. I don't want to just settle with 2 people. Let's go find us a good one. Minnesota could be passing the ball a lot. Ooh, where do we want to go? Do you want to go? Pick a category. Let's pick a category.
Dude, I'm telling you, Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley, they've been doing big things, man.
KC?
They've been doing big things, man.
What happened last week? Goff, how many yards did he put up?
That I do not know.
He had pretty good numbers. Let's see. Let's pick a category. Let's check these passing categories out real quick. Burrow 261. Is about 82 yards.
Yeah, 83 yards. It's basically, do you think that they bounce back?
I almost feel like this is every week we should just go less than on these cats.
It does seem like a safe bet, huh?
Safe entry, as we say. What if we did this? How about we do this? Is this too wild, Cody?
No.
Sanders more, Olave more, Mayfield. What did man?
No, that's perfect.
And is Fields? Does he somehow?
Who are they playing?
They're playing each other. Baker versus Fields in the most boring game ever. You know what? I'm going all in. I'm going straight up 10 times.
Power play. Let's do it.
Booyaka. Go to Prize Picks. Use the promo code C3. They will match your deposit up to 100% on your first time, up to $100. And boy, I hope I just got a big winner because my fantasy skills are elite. Let's go. Can we go back to the calls, Cody?
Do it.
Yo, it's White Chalk Espresso. Yo, I got some bones to pick with some people. Call me emotional because I said Bryce didn't look good. He was ass. He stunk in the first game, which he did. And you got people like Cody calling me emotional. Me,
you are
emotional.
It's that
Come
time
from
of the
the guy
month,
who said Bryce will go 30 touchdowns and we're going to win 13 games. I'm the emotional one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Cody. You're the one who said we should raise our expectations. Stop it. We should raise our expectations. Remember that? That was you, Cody. guess what? I raised my expectations, and expectations was not 148 yards and 2 interceptions. That was not my expectations. So y'all the ones getting over emotional, coming at me saying, I think Bryce stunk in his first game. All right. Second of all, if I wanted to be emotional, I'll be emotional. I drove 5 fucking hours to Atlanta, put on that motherfucker's jersey, cheered him on it in his first game, just for him to stink it up, and then drive another 5 hours back to Charleston.
That sounds
So if I wanna be
emotional, Kev.
I'll be fucking emotional.
Oh, he's saying I will be
He
emotional.
stunk. And that's it. That's all I got. I'll be there Monday night. Cody, I'll meet you there in Charlotte, and I'll give you a beer, and I'll slap you in the face. Peace.
Does fade mean you don't like it? I feel like fade. I'm going to fade that pick means I don't agree with it.
No, I think that means that he wants to put it back up. He's trying to get it.
Nah, fade means like I don't like it, right? Not trail it.
No, I mean, in this scenario.
I'm interested this. How about help us this? Help me figure this out. Does fade in this question mean you want in on that action, or you're like, Tony, you a dummy? Let's go to Anthony in Charlotte.
What's up, C3? What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What's up, Ant?
Just got out of class, going to the food court. But I do want to talk about...
Oh, look at you. You wonder. You're in the best time of your life,
right now. I know it's
motherfucker.
early, but JC Horn, man, I don't know. I mean, you got your fourth and fifth, the rest of this year, the fourth and fifth year left. I don't know what to do with you. Scott Fitter, I've been telling you, bud, we should have drafted a cornerback. Like, these are things you should be able to figure out that these fans, like, no, it's bad. Like, I don't think many of the other fan bases can say that we know just as much as this coaching staff, because that's clearly what it feels like, man. Second thing I got to say, I think the problem with this fan base and what we were sold was a bag of, oh, this coaching staff is way better. This team upgraded a lot. You know, kind of what Scott Fitter said, oh, we can just drop a rookie quarterback in and that's how we built this team. No, this team still has so many holes and it's unbelievable. Like, just comparing us to the rest of the league. This is on the front office. And I know we're still dealing with the scraps of Matt Rule and how traumatizing that era was, but Scott Fitter was a part of it, and he needs to go. I'm not getting off this train at all. He needs to get fired, man, because we have such little depth. I don't know what to say at this point. I think all this hype was just coming from our fan base because we didn't have Matt Rule as a coach. I don't know. I'm very disappointed. I'm not giving up on the team. But this is why I tried to tell y'all to lower some of y'all expectations. Because it's year one of a rookie quarterback. He doesn't have a great support system besides a solid offensive line. Like, I don't know. And I think we were being overreactive about the quarterbacks this week. A lot of quarterbacks played like shit, especially guys that have been in this league now for like 5 and 6 years. Like, it was just not a great week for quarterbacks in general. Sucks that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. That really sucks. They were going to be a Super Bowl contender. I mean, they made Josh Allen look like a fool yesterday. Defense was legit, but this isn't a Jets podcast. It's a Panthers podcast. Yeah, man, it's very disappointing. I mean, next offseason, they need to figure out a way to get a new GM here, get a real wide receiver one, get some real depth on this team. The last thing I got to say is, who is seriously going to stop Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, and Michael Thomas next week, like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Like, oh my gosh, we play great receivers and we have shitty cornerbacks. Give me your thoughts on this. I'm very disappointed. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding. I told y'all to lower your expectations.
All right, Anthony saying lower expectations. By the way, Tony, from Darnell Holmes. To fade in sports betting,
I knew it was
to
bad.
purposely take the opposite side of the bet of another bettor.
You know what? If you fade it and I fade it, if you do the exact opposite and it hits, like, we should have a way to push and split some money on that. You know what I'm saying? Because if I win 200 or you win 200, how about this? If I win 200 If you could do the complete opposite, how about that? Put in the $20, use the promo code C3, go to Prize Picks, use the promo code C3, like Jay Thomas did. Look, he said Angel Investor. Jay Thomas Angel.
He's a new member, and he says now we can tell him how to win a bunch of cash.
I don't know about that. You better listen to Cody. Cody's got a lot better history on this than I do.
I mean,
he pulled money out.
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
pulled
did.
real money out last year.
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to do it again this year. I have not yet won.
So if you do this, how about this? If you fade me, which I would assume means a complete opposite. How about that? You do the complete opposite. If I win mine, I will give you your money back.
So the person who said that he would fade you was 336 Panthers fan.
I need to see the exact opposite. Yeah, 336 Panthers fan. You go the exact opposite. You put the 20 on the power play. You better be using that promo code C3. It helps us. I'm telling you, each time somebody does it, they know it. And they're like, oh, you hit that mark. We want to sponsor you more. We want to sponsor you more. We want to sponsor you more. So you do that, $20. Basically this, neither of us lose or we both lose.
Yeah.
Because if we don't hit them, then we just lose our money. Anyway, let's talk about Anthony. Fuck this. Oh, wait.
Fuck you, Saints. Keep pouting.
Fuck you, Saints. I ain't scared of your bitch asses. And you know what? Is that if they can't run the ball, that allows us to pin our ears back and get after it. So, yes, is there a concern that they have talent at the receiver position? Certainly. But we heard there were concerns on that offensive line tonight, Cody. That's what David Grubb told us tonight. He said, look, the question mark is on this offensive line, which is not good. Can't run the ball really, and they can't ultimately pass protect. So this actually, in a strange new world, maybe we match up better against the Saints.
I mean, I'm
sounds
hoping
ridiculous. I know.
I mean,
maybe
listen,
I'm just
if you're able to win the trenches, then you should be able to win the football game. And by the way, Tony, we won, like you mentioned earlier, we won the stat battle with Atlanta.
Right. We lost one stat turnover.
We have to clean up the small details. Bryce has to take better care of the football. No more fumbles from Miles Sanders. And in the red zone, actually punch it in.
We have the worst.
To be better in the red zone. We have to.
And red zone defense is going to need to be better too.
Red zone defense.
On top of that, Cody, but we could be the worst, arguably after week one, the worst team in the NFC South, right? If you think about it, is like, hey, the Bucs somehow upset the Vikings, so they have a win. The Saints have a win, and actually, we are the worst team in the South
for right now.
Like record wise,
yeah.
But I'm not scared. Well, not as scared as this. What I want to say is this, and then go to the shout out is we're the worst team in the NFC South, and we're only 3-point dogs. Fuck.
I mean, listen,
Vegas on something here. Only 3-point dogs.
If Atlanta was not able to run the ball, I don't see how New Orleans is going to be able to do it any better. So I like the Panthers' chances. I'm hoping. Hey, I'm going to be there, man. I want to see my Panthers get a dub. And by the way, Jay Thomas, if you already used the promo code, then you did your part, brother. That's all you have to do, man.
I told you he's an angel investor, homie.
Yeah, man. He's the man.
He's got my dude right here.
White chocolate, bright stat line for Monday Night Football. 21 of 32, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns.
We walk away with a dub. You walk away with a dub in Prize Picks with that number right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what here. Well, let's go to Anthony's call next. He got a part 2. Always got a part 2. Anthony, you lucky. I
What's
love
up,
you,
C3?
Python.
Quick call back. Wanted to bring something up. Kevin has been mentioning this a lot in the spaces, Twitter spaces. Everyone that's listening, check out the Panthers Twitter, C3 Panthers Twitter spaces on Monday, Thursdays, man. We've been going live a lot getting 70 people in the spaces, man. It's a great conversation.
yeah.
Bringing over some people from, different spaces that I've, connected with. A lot of new faces. It's awesome conversation, man. We welcome everyone and anyone. But Kevin was saying that maybe if we're like 0-6 by the bye, like 1-5, maybe we should consider trading Brian Burns if his value is at an all-time high. Like if he has like 9 sacks in like 6 weeks or something crazy like that, dude, some team is willing to trade a lot for him. We've already seen it. If his value is only going to go up, trade him.
It's not a terrible idea.
And just fire Scott Fitter. I think the main problem with this whole team is that, again, they keep trying to win, and they just never know when to take a year off, hold their breath, take it, then take a deep breath, and just relax and be like, okay, this year we need to rebuild and figure things out. Like, we can't go into every season expecting to win with a half-assed roster. It doesn't work like that. Cam Newton in that regime was the blueprint. The first 2 seasons were figure-it-out seasons. Cam Newton didn't have a great defense this first year. Then they drafted Luke Kuechly. It got a little better. Then they made some other signings, and then they had a top defense. And then we got to the divisional round and went 12-4. The problem is that in this day and age, you can't trade away, your top weapon for a rookie quarterback and expect him to just, play hero ball every play, dropping back in just a straight drop back. Be like, all right, Bryce, you're at the 2-yard line. Go make something happen. It's just bullshit. It pisses me off. But that's all I got to say. And also, I may be going to Cody's house this Monday night to be on the post game with y'all to give my thoughts on the Panthers. We're still trying to figure it out. But yeah, man, it should be an awesome time if that happens. So you already know, man. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
Keep pounding. Appreciate you, Anthony.
We're gonna need Tony to drive up there with his roadcaster so we can plug in.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to you after. See about what I gotta do.
Y'all gonna have to be
happen.
kissing brothers, be like this on the mic.
Why are you so fucking weird, bro?
You're gonna have to. You gotta be close on these mics. They don't.
No, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
You have to be up here. You have to be like this, and you can't do that.
Well, I mean, listen, I can. I can let Anthony sit on my lap,
Well, watch out. It's a Pokemon down there. Let's go to the next guy.
Fuck. See what pops up.
Hey, this is Tim from Northeast Pennsylvania. I was just listening to your post-game show today, and I wanted to call in because talk about a couple of things. One, pay Brian Burns. The man's on pace for 25.5 sacks this year. Obviously, it doesn't mean much after the first game. But reality is if we don't pay him now, we may end up having to pay him a ton to stick around. So pay the man now. Secondly, Cody was talking about Fitter and him being in the hot seat. And I want to talk a little bit about that for a second, because if you remember, we all talked about how Rule had ultimate control over the roster. And when we talk about the draft in particular, he had control over the draft and who Carolina was picking. Well, look at that Carolina pick in the 2021-22 draft. Out of those 3 drafts, we came out with 4 starters. We've got Derek Brown, who's doing a fantastic job. Looks great. We got J.C. Horn, which, let's be honest, he's never out there. So it's kind of to me, J.C. is a bust, unfortunately. And I think injuries are just going to continue to happen. We got Jerry Chin, who is a good player. But again, he's not a great player. I know some of you guys absolutely think Jerry Chin is the best player out there, but let's be honest, he is an average player. And one more guy, I can't even think who it is now. But really, ultimately, we have
Brady Christensen.
A lot of guys that we wish weren't on the
roster. That's a loud call.
AKA YGM. And ultimately, they did a terrible job drafting for 4 years. The fact that for 3 years. The fact that we only have 3 starters out of that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not considering J.C. Horn a starter anymore because he's not out there enough. So I think Fitter is safe. I think he's fine at least for another year after this year, but get that contract done with Burns. All right. Thanks for listening.
I love this call. Cool call, and it brings up a great conversation that you wanted to have.
Yeah,
you wanted to have. You've been an asshole about it. I feel like you're leaning getting
no,
too
you know what
hot
it is?
take with this.
There's no, it's not hot taking this, Tony. You know more than anyone. I have been on this pod for 2 years defending Fitterer because Matt Rule was the one in charge, and defending J.C. Horn. They're all one-off injuries. Whatever, he'll be fine. He'll be better. I'm tired, Tony. I'm tired, bro.
What's that got to do with fucking Fitterer?
No, because at the end of the day, what everyone is now saying that we must do is that what? Now we deserve to give him another 3-year grace period?
No, how about another year?
All right, but how about you do something for me in the meantime?
I mean, think he's had good free
listen to me. As that caller was talking, he tried to mention the 4 players that were good players for us, and he was fumbling through it. You have a hard time picking all the elite players that Fitterer has put on this team because there have not been that many.
All the first rounders are hit.
All right, there are
all the first rounders are. None of the first rounders are busts.
Derek Brown, that was Hurney, right? Yeah, and then the year after, yeah,
because that was when we drafted all that. Actually, Jeremy Chin might have been on Hurney too. Then it was Derek Brown and Derek, right? So here is J.C. Horn's draft might have been the first year that
there's not enough talent on this team right now.
I think that Fitterer has got his fingerprints on 2 drafts, last year and this year's.
All right, so then what's the grace period now on how long we're supposed to let him have chance after chance after chance?
I think this year is. I think you give him 1 more year.
After this year, or this year?
Like 1 more draft. 1 more draft.
All right.
I think he's been effective enough in free agency. I think, first of all, you cannot dismiss the ability to move up to the number 1 pick for a very reasonable price, dude. We did not overpay to go from 9 to 1. We just simply didn't. It was the most reasonable move up from 9 to 1 in the history of football.
But
that's
the world is
plus.
unfair.
That's a giant win right there.
But
I think being able
to have, but they're going to hold it against Fitterer even more if our receivers don't turn it on.
Who gives a fuck?
Doing nothing.
No, they're not going to not turn it on. They're either going to be okay or good. They're not going to be great. They're not going to be terrible. No, I don't think that's a knock on them. I think you can't fix everything in one go. And look, think about this. It's an entirely different receiving core.
Yeah.
There's not the only person that's the same is a guy that didn't play at all.
Tony,
Terrace
the
Marshall
best
Jr.
thing that he has done has been orchestrate the trade to move up to number 1. And I've said that. The fact that we only had to give up essentially 1 first-round pick and some players, or a very good player. But, yeah, that's the best
How about
thing
this, Cody?
Done.
That might have
nothing
been
else, Tony. Literally nothing else that he has done has been a high-level maneuver.
So you're trying to tell me his best fucking move he did is in the 1 draft he actually wasn't handcuffed.
All right, I'm saying
so you're saying
else.
Oh, that's a win.
Has been even noteworthy.
That's a fucking win, dude.
What has been one thing? What has been the best thing that he has done?
I think that's a great way. It's his first draft without the Matt Rule fool.
I am not willing to give him this unlimited amount of leeway like I have done with him in the past.
It's not an unlimited. I said 1 single more offseason. 1 more offseason where we can put Matt Rule in the past.
How he's fumbling this entire Brian Burns situation.
It's not a fumble.
It's embarrassing.
There's something else.
Yes, it is.
When we find out the deets on this.
We paid Dante, and we're not going to pay Brian Burns. Come on.
I don't think it's a choice of just we're not going to pay him. It's got to be more complicated than that. There is no single way. You think Scott Fitter is like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll pay you 26, but I won't pay you 20. I don't believe there is something else going on.
But your
hold up is gotta be on the other side.
No, you're just reading what you want to read into it, man. I have just as much evidence.
You're reading what you want to read.
All right, fine. If you're allowed to do it, why am I not allowed to do it?
You've already done it. That's why I'm reading mine. I'm reading the tea leaves a different way.
I feel like Federer is lowballing the very best player on our football team. That's how I feel.
Wow. Okay. So wait until we come. Then, if that's the case, then I don't think Brian Burns would be as team player as he is. If it's insulting, you're trying to tell me it's insulting lowball?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah. Because you just want it to be.
No, you're wanting to make it sound, oh, Brian and his agent, they're being too difficult on what they're asking for. Or what we don't even know what that number is. There has to be something bizarre going on. Why does it have to be? Why?
Because it makes too much sense to have it work out.
We brought
there
back
has to be
Ian
something
Thomas.
fucking weird about it.
We brought back Ian Thomas. He signed Michael Jordan and Cam Irving and brought them back. Come on, man. There's a lot of bad under Federer now. There just is.
Okay. Let's take more calls. I think this is I think that I will be willing to accept your diagnosis next year when we have more distance from Matt Rule. To me, I think right now, the biggest things, don't bring up Ian Thomas. Don't bring up CJ Henderson. To me right now, my problems, if DJ Johnson doesn't work out at all, like if he's like that, to me is a real stain on the record. But hell, I think Mingo turned out to be a remarkably wise pick at the time. You're talking about a wide receiver core that has no talent. Imagine them without Mingo.
The end of the year, Tony. If we are not a playoff team,
how much can you do between a GM doesn't do much.
If we don't
from now till December,
if we do not have a better team at the end of this year, it's time to move on.
How? What are you going to do? You don't get better midway through the season.
It would be his what?
How do you get better? How do you get better midway through the season?
Better draft picks. He has not been a great drafter.
No, you're giving him another draft then.
No, I'm saying he has not been a great drafter, and he has not been that good in free agency.
How can he convince you by February? What can he do to convince you by February?
This roster needs to make it to the playoffs. In the NFC South, when no team has a great team now.
So you're saying this is that he can't do anything between now and then himself. He just has to hope what he did was good enough. That's the only way he can save his job.
I need to see something from
it's fucking ridiculous.
DJ Johnson, as you mentioned, Jeremy Chin. It's very important for him. And yeah,
he didn't even draft Jeremy Chin.
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's an unfair qualification on him. To say this is he has to the end of the year to do better. What the fuck else can he do?
Draft better.
He can't draft before the end of the year. You got to give him another draft.
I don't know, man.
All right, next call. You don't even listen. Next call.
There's no Stephon Gilmore on this team right now.
I was thinking about the offense we saw Sunday and how much it looked like the same vanilla offense we've seen in the preseason. I think it's just Frank Wright. So go back and look at the difference when they let Brown call the plays in the second half in some of those games. It's a totally different offense. And also, when they went down by 2 scores, when you still had time to try to make a comeback or make a closer score, that was still running the same. Everything's right there at the line of scrimmage or 5-10 yards. It was the same play calling. There was no urgency. There was no trying to push the ball, trying to move the ball down the field or anything. I know the 2 or 3 times it did, it was, misses, but I think it's Frank Wright. I think he's just babying the offense. Just needs more explosion or more creativity. I think then he needs to let Brown call plays and hopefully it's not too late when he figures that out. I think the problem is Frank Wright and some is the receivers. I think they need to go back and get Shi Smith back. Have him on one outside and him Shark on the other outside. Imagine running 4 receivers, Shark and Smith on the outside and Thielen and Mingo on the inside. Different route concepts that way. Not to back the defense off. But no, there's no threat. This is going to dink and dunk. That's what Frank Wright's offense is. Vanilla bullshit. Come on.
I'm coming
Open up the playbook. Let Brown call plays. Frank Wright, be the head coach. He's not the offensive coordinator. That's not you. He's no Sean Payton. Come on now.
Randall in the chat, 49ers guys, stick around. Let me address this call first, and then I'm going to give you some shout outs. Thank you for being around here. This is too overreaction. We're 1 weekend. We controlled the entire time of possession. And we're going, play calling was a problem. There was only one play call that was problematic. It was the right decision, the wrong play call. And that's the 4th and 1. It's not too vanilla. If anything, them running a jet sweep within the 5-yard line, too crazy for me. No, this is what happens when you lose. When you lose, we eat our own. We devour our own children. So we're like, we got some people being like, Bryce should have been so much better. These receivers, they suck. Like the play call. Come on. The play calling, we're 1 game in. We won the time of possession. We had 3 turnovers and what effectively was an additional turnover by not converting a 4th and 1. And you're trying to say the play calling is the problem? It's too early. This is too premature. Now, you may be right in the end. You may be right in the end that like he isn't the guy. But we can't, there's not anywhere close to enough data to suggest that. And it's just like this. It is the overreaction to be like, Thomas Brown, dude. I told you guys once the preseason went down like that this was going to be the first time that the fucking team didn't produce it. But Thomas Brown, put him in. He's so much better. Dude, we had like an 80-yard drive on the first series that did get stymied by a 4th and 1 conversion that was not completed. The next, we get a pick that they then score. But then Bryce goes 6 for 6. This wasn't a play call. This was an execution issue. Very plain and simple. And I'm not even ready to buy into the separation argument. Make plays. We didn't make the plays. We made some bad plays. We beat ourselves. And I'm not trying to take it away. Look, there's a Falcon fans. Oh, look, it would help us out a lot if y'all beat the Saints. Okay, Dimitri. How about this? How about we beat the Saints instead of beating ourselves? Because that's what happened. You win the time of possession.
And also, you can't tell Panther fans that they don't have the right to criticize this team when they do dumb shit. It's the
low-hanging fruit, dude. Right, this is what happens when something goes wrong. They're like, if we would have called different plays, it would have been right.
All right, we have been through nothing but losing seasons. When we see these types of losses where we beat ourselves, and I hear you, and I agree with you, it's far too early to run away and panic about a lot of these different things.
Play calling.
It needs time.
We had one time of possession by 10 minutes.
Panther fans have been through so many of these types of losses that, listen, they're going to have to be the ones to start toning down the criticism. Meaning they're going to have to prove these people wrong.
Sure. Until they do, the criticism will get hyper and more hyperbolic.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not overly in defense of anyone on this team right now, Tony. I'm really not.
No, I agree. That's a great
I'm
point.
not putting on my shield for anyone right now.
Right.
Because I felt like for 2 or 3 years now, I've defended players, I've defended coaches, all for it to lead to nothing. So if it's
I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying that the criticism may be it's premature. The criticism is premature.
Unfair, yeah, if it's fair or unfair or premature, I'm not even disagreeing with them now. Because so many times I have said, "Oh, don't worry about it," and then they ended up being right. So now it's on them to prove the critics wrong.
I do want to shout out Randall. I hope he's still in the chat. Randall said, "Hey, Panther fans, just wanted to come back." Here, I got it. I'm going to highlight. Just wanted to come back from last year and say thank you again for CMC. He is amazing. We know. Two things is, first of all, I can't zoom in your picture, but y'all both look beautiful. Look at that little profile picture of them right there. They look like beautiful people, just like Christian McCaffrey. And who's this girl? The super smoking girl. What's Christian McCaffrey's girlfriend's name? Come on, folks.
Olivia Culpa.
Yeah. Y'all are like the YouTube version of Christian McCaffrey and Olivia Culpa. You beautiful people. And you know what? I wish the goddamn best for you. And I shouldn't say God. I drank a little bit.
You already said it. Just say it more.
I know. Look, I wish he's fucking amazing. He was amazing when he was in Carolina. And, I want him to be on a good team. Now, would he have been great? Would he have been help for Bryce? Certainly. But if he was on our roster already last year and we were trying to trade up for Bryce, who do you think the fucking Bears would have wanted?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and so this is the thing is like, you know what? This is a win for all of us. It's a win that you get Christian McCaffrey and he goes to a team that is a competitor rather than wasting his fucking life away in Carolina. Yep. And it gained us the ability to potentially reset our franchise. So you know what? Beautiful people make beautiful babies. And you birthed a beautiful baby in Carolina. And that's that Bryce Young baby. We got more calls, Cody. I don't know how many, but we gotta keep going. We're at 5:12 p.m. So we gotta go. We gotta run. All right, straight through. 10, maybe
hey guys,
8.
Kyle from VA. I was calling about some of the stuff I heard that people were saying on the post-game show. I put it all in, and hopefully I can remember everything. But first, the people that were saying that the O-line looked like shit. I don't know what fucking
Who
game
said
you were
that?
watching, but the O-line looked pretty good the whole damn game right to the very end. I had no clue what game y'all were watching. That's just you spewing shit out of your mouth that you're used to saying. So you just call it in. You felt like you needed to say something. You attacked the O-line because we always have a shitty O-line, but they held up pretty fucking good. I don't know what that was even about. Two, the people that said Brian Burns disappeared in the second half.
Yeah, it's lazy. It's lazy.
You just let me know that nothing you say about football I need to take seriously. Nothing you say about football I need to take seriously. Because you don't realize that they can out scheme Brian Burns because Brian Burns is the only fucking weapon on the defensive line that they have to avoid. So if they double team him, they run the ball the opposite
just
fucking
run.
way. What do y'all expect him to do? What do you really?
How do you sack
want him
a
to
running
jump
back?
From the total opposite side of D line all the way to the other side to make the fucking play every time? That was one of the stupidest takes I've heard about that fucking game was the Brian Burns shit. That was, y'all have no football IQ, and you either don't have football IQ or you read some shit on Twitter, you can't form your own opinions, and you just started.
Or
you
we're
just took the narrative
emotional.
and
We're
ran
just
with it.
emotional.
Stop doing that shit, man. That's so annoying. And three, Greg, I have no issue with, you want Bryce to prove it. Like, I'm gotten used to it now. It is what it is. And I'm not saying that this is even what you mean, but it begins to sound like you want Bryce to not do good so you can say,
I was right.
That's what it sounds like. And I'm not saying that's what you want. It's just
You're
what
not
it
the
sounds
first person that said
like.
that.
You said,
dude.
I'll take Desmond Ritter of Bryce Young based solely off the stats of week 1 and Bryce Young's NFL debut. If you really think that, then stats have clouded your fucking head completely. Like, the talent gap is, come on, bro. You seriously can't think that. You're trying to prove a point about stats.
Should we talk about him
And I
behind
get
his
it.
back, Cody?
Stats is stats. And if they play in your part, you're going to use them. I get that. But you were talking like Bryce Young's career is fucking done. Like, he can't do anything because his NFL debut did not go good. I'm not saying he played good because he didn't. But, bro, it was one game of the fucking season, his NFL debut. Peyton Manning has shit. Like, there's so many quarterbacks that have shitty NFL a rookie season and turned out to be great. Chill
See,
out
that's
on that.
the thing. We can't give him that. We can't give Greg that, oh, there were this and they didn't do good. And there, because he's always been like, you told me he's the best. Show me. Told me he's the best. He's from Mississippi. He's from the show me state. I think it's time to talk junk about Greg behind his back. I'm here for it.
You know my honest opinion about Greg and his takes. I believe that Greg is not a believer in Bryce.
Really? You think it's honest?
I think
wow.
I think Greg is trying to, and I believe 100% of what he's saying. I believe that he's honest when he says, "Hey, I hope I'm wrong," because then that means the Panthers are good. And I'm sure he would rather be the Panthers, rather the Panthers to be good, rather than him to be right. But I feel like he had his mind made up that Bryce is not the player at the position. So now any bit of evidence that he has to bolster that point, he's willing to jump on. And by the way, slander him all you want. You know, one of the reasons why Greg feels
he's got a lot of soldiers behind him now.
But and one of the reasons why he felt vindicated to do so is because the last time that he did this was about Matt Rule.
Yeah.
And by the way, he was doing it when it wasn't popular to say bad shit about Matt Rule. If we even remember that far back, right?
He likes that. I think that, look, and first, Al says this. It's Missouri, not Mississippi. It's the show me state, Missouri. Thank you,
Same
Al.
thing. No one can ever tell the difference.
Look, so that's interesting. I think that Greg has, like myself, we have a degree of contrarian in ourselves, right? Where it's just like it's more fun to be on the opposite side of popularity. I think he is. I think Greg is off put when we crown people. And I think you're right when you bring up Matt Rule, is that he was crowned by these talking heads as an answer, a solution, and this without real data. So I think that when maybe what Greg probably was off put or cautious about with Bryce was that it's like generational talent type talk. Like, is anytime you're like, oh, we're just casually throwing generational talent around. I think this, and since he's not here, I'm going to say this, and he's going to listen probably later. Greg, I love you still. I think that he's leaning into this. I think that he took the position of like, hey, let's be cautious here. Let's not overdo this. And then people are like, shut up, Greg. You're fucking wrong. This guy is generational this. And he was like, you know what? Fuck y'all motherfuckers. We're going to bat over this. And I think he just leans in and more to this take. And I am curious, does he truly believe it?
No, I 100% believe he does. Hey,
wow.
You want about Greg? I do not think.
I love Greg. I got no problem with him.
Yeah.
At all.
All right.
I don't know. That's an interesting thing because you die on the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And I think sometimes you know that you're wrong or whatever.
No.
And I don't think you soften. I think you double down on purpose. Shy. Why aren't you defending?
A lot of people want him back right now.
Joe Brady. Let's get Joe Brady. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe if Joe Brady was calling the plays.
Joe Brady got a bad rep, man.
Yeah, this is Al from Bama.
Oh,
right
damn,
here in the
I
heart
can
of
tell.
Tuscaloosa, Roll Tide.
Oh, shit, I
First
can
time
tell.
Panthers fan, first time caller. I don't know how long this message will go, so I'll just talk just a little bit. I'm excited to be here. I'll be back next week. I'm just here to let you boys know. Greg, I am going to make your life a living hell every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. right here on the C3 Panthers podcast.
We needed the
Bryce
bad
Young
day
is
on
going
the
to
show
be the
tonight.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. He is going to be a future MVP. He is going to be a Super Bowl champion. And he is the greatest quarterback in Alabama history since Willie Joe Namath. And I've been here for all of them. Take care, buddy. Roll Tide.
Take
I've
care.
never
He
said that in my
roll.
life, but God
Yeah,
damn
I'll
it,
never
I
say
love
it,
that.
But hey, shout out to Al, man.
All right.
Shout
next
out
call.
to Al.
That shit was
What
awesome.
up, guys? This is Dave, and I'm trying to get in my cat call.
Oh.
Just
Deez,
finished
what's up, brother?
losing 8 minutes of my life listening to this guy go off about how bad the Panthers offense looked in week one. Well, let me point out some things. First of all, we rushed for 154 yards, okay? We had a rookie quarterback that made a couple mistakes, but we also had a lot of guys on the field that weren't doing proper execution of the plays. I saw blocks getting missed, setting up for screens. I saw guys not running crisp routes and not being where they were supposed to be. I saw guys not turning up their head looking for the football. Number one on that list would be TMJ. He obviously did not practice with the ones in training camp. A lot of times he ran with the twos. And then on top of that, he sat out a ton of time in the preseason, not playing whatsoever with that back injury. And we got on the field on Sunday. That's what it looked like. He had 6 targets and only 2 receptions. Often he looked lost out there on where the ball was going or if the ball was even coming to him. He would have had the biggest pass of the game going for a touchdown. Did you guys realize that Bryce Young was only 90 yards away from being on pace for that 4,000 yards that he can make this season? If TMJ had completed that pass, we'd be pretty close to that number. It wasn't the worst thing in the world to see a rookie quarterback go out there and make a couple mistakes. What I feel like another big thing in execution was Chuba Hubbard. We saw that fumble early in the game because he was on the wrong side of Bryce. Once again, in that pistol formation on that 4th and 1, I get that. I don't like that either. Let's get under center. Let's run that ball under center. Let's not run it from the pistol, okay? I get the bashing of the play calling on that. But it looked like Chuba didn't know what side to be on of Bryce. And I don't think Chuba got that many reps in the preseason either because he was rested along. We saw Brown and we saw Blackshear in the preseason because they were resting those running backs. So he looked like he had a couple of errors as well, along with TMJ. So there's people, and Chenault, I think, had a play or two where he wasn't quite in position. So there was guys not executing around Bryce as well, even though I'll give it to you. Okay, Bryce makes some mistakes. We all saw that in the game. But everyone has to execute on that offense for it to be effective. But we did run the football for 154 yards with a rookie right guard. And you guys know we ran it up the middle all game long. It's not like we were busting out runs off the tackle because that's just not the way this was designed. Another thing about the play calling, that pistol formation, we even showed a package where it was like a pistol wishbone. And I think that's really cool. So I thought the offense altogether was a lot of fun. We didn't see anything like that last year. You know what I mean? We didn't see anything like that under Matt Rule, period. So we saw some more exciting offense from the Panthers than we've seen in the past. Just unfortunately, we had a rookie quarterback that makes some mistakes, and that's the way it is as you change levels from college football to the NFL. The biggest thing coming away from that game week 1 was an injury to J.C. Horn. Losing Horn for multiple weeks is just really
tough. Boy, man, you
What a
can't.
great call.
I feel like Deez gets cooler each time.
Oh, he does. He's the bro. That's the home.
I mean, it's not. You don't get cooler than this. Is that when
and everything and his insight on the team, he's rational.
Totally.
He's willing to look at things not through hot take opinions. He's looking at it for what they are. And by the way, he echoed that same sentiment that TMJ did not look good, but also has not been practicing a lot lately. It seems to me, Tony, the more that we look at it, when you factor in the rushing yards, when you factor in the offensive line, when you factor in how well the defense played early on, when you factor how well Bryce started and how well he played before those interceptions, it was like a confluence of issues that all came together that stifled our performance in Atlanta.
It looks like we're a 500 team, Cody.
Yeah,
That's what it is. Is that the team, if they're
these-
under 500, is disappointing. If they're over 500, it's hard. It's like a blessing. But to think this team is going to come out there and all of a sudden just be like magically better, like significantly better, I think it's too, like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. If we win 10 games, I think 10 games is possible, right? I don't think it's probable. And I think that winning 7 games is possible, but not probable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I really,
yeah.
You know, so that's just what it is. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, guys. It's the growl that makes them howl, a.k.a. Joey the Blind Panther. And you know what? I still feel pretty much the same way I do about the game the other day. I mean, I still think we're not gonna be what we are. Like, we're not gonna be what we were in that game. And, you know, I had to explain this to these very primitive-minded Falcons fans that I work with. I don't know how these people get around me. They're just not my intellect. But, you know, they keep thinking they have a quarterback. Desmond Ridder, you know, the coaching staff doesn't trust him, okay? That's what I was trying to tell Greg the other day. And I know everybody was on his ass, but I was just saying that, like, you can't say that the coaching staff doesn't trust Bryce Young. They don't trust Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. That's all I was saying. They put his ass out there 3 times early and throw the ball, and it was disaster. And they covered him, and they played around him the whole game since. Okay? But as for J.C. Horn, play his ass. He's going to get injured. Just throw every damn thing at him. Don't pick up this 5th-year option because I'm done with this shit, dude. Like, why are we so injury-prone at cornerback? Dante Jackson is always injured. J.C. Horn is always injured. Like, I hate to say this, but I'm starting to agree with one thing David Gettleman said. You can never have enough corners. I mean, damn. But other than that, man, we got the Aints coming to town next week. I mean, Derek Carr is okay. He's certainly better than Ridder. But, hey, this is our house, dude. We always beat the Saints in the bank. I mean, it's got to be fun. I'm going.
True.
But anyway, guys.
That's totally not true. Last 2 years.
Wow.
I was at a game in about 2018, maybe. I went with Mel Mayock. 5 touchdowns. The fucking Drew Brees fucked us all up. Anyway, it's not always true.
Hey, before I go, shout out to Nirvash with the $10 love bomb. He said we should be able to criticize Bryce without backlash.
Sure.
I mostly agree with Greg. He stated several times that he doesn't want Bryce to fail. He just needs him to prove it on the field to Bleav in him. I don't think anybody, to be fair, was giving people backlash for
that
coming down on Bryce. Like, Bryce threw 2 interceptions, and the Falcons scored points off those 2 interceptions. Yeah, it's reasonable to criticize that. My criticism was towards people pretending like Bryce played the worst game that they've ever seen.
Like, you can't see any. Like, right, you can't. Like it's like
there's no reason.
There's Josh Rosen.
Yeah, like pretending like he didn't navigate the pocket well. Pretending like that opening drive, he wasn't, damn near 100%. Like, it's just the unfair criticisms.
It's hyperbolic.
People, of everyone that wants him to be Drew Brees right now. Come on, that's too much.
I think, and that's what made Greg be this way, is because people were so hyperbolic about his success. So he went the other way.
Yeah.
It's like we can't just say, hey, is he has the potential to be a very good quarterback. There's some risk in it. But instead it's like he's either the best fucking prospect ever or he is barely as good as Desmond Ritter.
I know, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's too much. It's like politics. Next call.
What's up, C3? It's Tyler here. Hope you guys are having a great evening. The GC Horn injury, hopefully it's mild. Hopefully it's only going to be a couple weeks. If it's major, it could be 6 to 8 weeks or even longer. But hopefully it's only a couple weeks. The conversation with people that you guys kind of already touched on was, we should have got Patrick Surtain or we should have had this. Just like you guys, I hate that conversation because you can't predict injuries. If we take Patrick Surtain and he was injured and JC Horn balled out, and people said, we should pick JC Horn. You can't have that conversation. Now, you can have a conversation about talent and who's better at what, but you can't, we can't like shit on Scott Fitter for picking JC Horn because he has multiple injuries. It sucks. It's an issue that I think is going to be very interesting to see towards the end of the year. Are they going to exercise his fifth-year option? He obviously has the talent. He's an amazing player. He's a lockdown corner. I think he'd be a top 5, top 7 corner in the league if he was healthy, but no one knows about him because he's not on the field. Us Panther fans, and obviously the Panther locker room knows how good of a talent he is. He's just not on the field. But, CJ Henderson, garbage. I mean, he's not. He always gives up the big play. That's why Panther fans can't stand him. He always gives up the big play.
I mean, you're not wrong.
At a crucial moment, or just gives up a long touchdown run. He always gives up the big, huge play. And we'll see if Ajero Rivero can kind of help him out a little bit and see if CJ Henderson can step up. But I don't have my hopes up for him at all. He's the best we got in the circumstance that we're in right now. I don't know if there's anybody free agency wise that is better than him, but he's the best we got. It just sucks because we know what to expect from him. It's going to be a tough several weeks, really, with him being our number one corner, covering the number one wide receiver. Bryce, I think he's going to step up. We'll see again if the wide receivers can create better separation. I do expect the interceptions to be non-existent. Hopefully there's no interceptions at all, but I do want to see better separation for the receivers and better chemistry. Hopefully the practices that they're doing this week, they're developing that rapport, but young rookie, below mid wide receivers, that's what you get. So I do expect them to run the ball efficiently, and hopefully DJ Chark comes back from injury this week and be able to give us that deep threat. So
Great call. Look, I think with CJ Henderson, I think it's kind of low hanging fruit for criticism. And that is that he was such a high draft pick, and you come in and you're like, oh, maybe we can retool this guy and he's going to be the next Stephon Gilmore or some shit like that. CJ Henderson has been put in some difficult positions early in his time in Carolina, and he's made some mistakes. CJ Henderson makes the same mistake every time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the big play. And it's not because he's gotten just burnt. It's because he knows it's a big play at that moment. And he panics. Every time it's a panic play. He was there with Pitts. Pitts is a little bit bigger. Pitts has the ability to win that matchup. But what he does is he always panics. I won't say always, but yes, he kind of like gets grabby.
Every time there's a big moment, he's always getting mossed.
I don't think it's mossed. I think it's this.
Yeah,
it's like he's like, oh shit, here's the ball. So I'm just gonna grab this motherfucker. Every time he does, and you know what? He gets so ticky-tack called on pass interference every time.
I mean,
He's kind of a nuanced guy. Like a lot of corners that have a rep get away with shit like that. I'm just saying this. You guys are right in some ways, is that like he has had moments where he just is fucking gotten burnt on the big play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just tired of.
It's like it must be remarkably frustrating to the coaches and remarkably kind of depressing to himself.
Well, you know how we say that no one ever is talking about the offensive line until they're
when you're
fucking
doing
up.
right. You only talk about corners when they're fucking burnt.
All right. So the fact that we talk about CJ Henderson,
Right. Good point.
is enough for me. We should never be talking about CJ Henderson. Yeah, year after year we are.
All right, let's go to. We got some big super chats here. Is a couple of first, your boy White Chocolate Espresso said, I didn't ask for Drew Brees. I just asked for 200 yards and no interceptions. But then we get the stats who said, let me see. I'm going to pull this up real quick.
This one?
We got 2 super chats where you're gone. We did the Nervosh, right? So maybe we only got one. The stat says it's because we saw Cam come in and drop 400 plus on back-to-back debut games. That was magical. And I will say this when it comes to, I think that we put ourselves in this position a little bit. I think we inflated our expectations about everything. Do you remember when was it Bill Voth just a couple of weeks ago came out and said, and I know, and you guys pushed back on it, and I think your pushback was valid. As he said, I think that part of this is the Panthers media let this inflation get out of control. And you guys did make the point, which is that's the whole fucking job of the media department is to flame the shit out of something. I think this is that, what would it have taken to be impressed? And so I think that Kev is saying this easily in retrospect, like 200 yards and no picks. Like you would have walked away being like, oh, Bryce Young's fucking awesome. But now you're 60 yards less and 2 picks and you're like, fuck it, cut him. I think when we hype something up in our mind, we too much. And this is, I think, where Greg was coming from. I think this is Greg's whole point is you're setting yourself up to be let down. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, what if he would have thrown 225, 1 pick and 1 touchdown, we still lost? You would have been like, oh my God.
But it's like, look, my expectations were high, but I'm not jumping off of a cliff because Bryce didn't meet my expectations.
I'm all in,
It's
baby.
like, God damn, if you're a Panther fan, at some point, you have to have some hope about something, man.
Dude,
or else,
he's
why
the
are you
fucking
even a
dude.
fan?
Man, we
that's
need
what
a
I'm saying.
quarterback.
I'm not going to get mad at people for having high hopes about players that we were told and that we feel like we should have high hopes in.
All right, it is 12:10 right now. Somebody called in twice. Unless this is the best call. Here, it probably, it might be
these the last 2?
No, we have 4 calls, but they're both of them duplicate. They have 2 calls. So we have 4 calls, 2 numbers.
2 callers.
Let's see what they got.
This is me, C-Dog, 1983
I'll
TV.
fuck this dog. I'll play
And
this
I'm
shit.
trying to make this short and sweet. But I was at the game Sunday, and very disappointed from what I seen Sunday. And the most disappointing thing was Bryce Young missing deep throws. Mingo on a double move, wide open touchdown. Overthrew him like 5 yards. Then he overthrew Marshall like on a deep ball. But I don't know, man. Just me personally, I have a lot of concerns with his arm strength and his size, Then we have mediocre weapons. We should have kept DJ Moore, but it is what it is, But this outlook of this season, man. Then Frank White is just pathetic calling fucking plays. He's vanilla as fuck. Like, we're going to bring in Thomas Brown from the goddamn Rams. He's young, more innovative with the play calling. Let him call those goddamn plays,
Week
Then
1,
Brian
bro.
Burns ain't worth goddamn $25 million. Man, don't give Brian Burns no big fucking bag. I give him like 23.5. I wouldn't give him anything over 25.
Oh.
That's just my personal opinion,
Then got done JC Horn as JC Horn's a fucking bust. He can't stay on the fucking field. We should have drafted goddamn Patrick Surtain, but it's over and done with now. Just how we should have drafted fucking CJ Stroud. But she's gonna come at to bite us in the ass every goddamn time. You know, it don't even matter that we got a new goddamn coach. We still got the same dumbass owner. You know. That's what I took from this shit, man. But man, this is some bullshit. I'm tired of this shit. I have not been excited for football since we had Cam Newton. All this shit right here is some bullshit. I'm tired of being fucking bums. You know. But anyways, man, whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to this great content. These boys go live every Tuesday, every Friday. Then they have the game simulations as well and everything. But shout out to the whole C3 podcast.
There's another brand ambassador.
1983 TV out. Everybody have a great day and a great week. Keep pounding.
But don't you ever come back here again because I'm too old.
They call them
to waste
bums.
my time trying to train a no-good loser like you.
They call them bums.
Those guys are a bunch of bums.
Bums, he called them. But
Bums.
boy, my man is a brand ambassador. C-Dog,
Hey, man,
you
at
ain't no
this point,
bum.
So is Anthony, bro. It says with the $5 love bomb, Bryce is my guy. I would die on this hill. I believe in him. And next week, me and Cody will be laughing at y'all when he balls out. He will develop 100.
I agree. I'm ready for him. All right. C-Dog wants some more for you, bro.
Then I think we got Strats in the call.
Yeah. And we're good.
C-Dog 1983. My second call. Let me know if I got a cash app donating.
Oh, yeah.
For the
Cash
second
App
call.
Tony. True King 1111. I actually broke his
Real
fuck.
quick,
so I'll
man.
take
I don't want to hear
$2.
no more about this Brian Burns shit. My man got done talking. His first call, whatever, talking about Brian pay the man and all this bullshit. I'll probably be in the position where we at right now. Paying motherfuckers who don't deserve this fucking money. Brian Burns ain't worth that type of goddamn money, man. Where the fuck was goddamn Brian Burns at goddamn after halftime? Where was he at third quarter, fourth quarter? The C-Dog 1983 TV was at the game I was looking for him. Yeah, he started the game off hot. But where was he at the goddamn halftime? His ass goddamn cool the fuck off. You know what I'm saying? And then, boy, the Bryce Young shit. Man, the man he left some points out there, man. Bryce Young left points on the motherfucking field, man. Period, man. I don't want to hear that bullshit. What the fuck was y'all got there watching? I was at the game. If you see that shit on TV, Mingo got that Marshall open. Separation. Got them overthrows. The nigga supposed to be got that accurate and all this bullshit. I told y'all this motherfucker got them little. He ended up with got that 5'10". The fuck?
What did that have to do with the
we gonna
overthrow?
see, man. I ain't hate to even call back in, but I'm just talking about that pay Brian Burns, man. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Trajectory.
That motherfucker ain't no game changer. Ain't no motherfucking Julius Peppers. Keekly, nobody. None of them got them boys. Thomas Davis, no. Get the fuck out of here,
He's
man.
not no Julius
Come on,
Peppers.
man. What are we talking about here?
It's the truth.
Man, Frank White can't call no fucking plays. Like, man, some of y'all fans need to wake the fuck up, man. For real.
Just say one thing that he'll say one
man.
thing you agree with and one thing you like.
Shit. Then got them Frank White could be got them holding Bryce Young back. What they got them play calling?
Where the
that too was down. I can't say that
That's what I'm
because at the
saying.
game, niggas don't point to the field.
He'll say one thing
I
you
said
know.
Mingo Marshall open. That Mingo, that was a fucking touchdown on my side. I wouldn't have got them third row touchdown. Come on, man. I want to hear that shit.
He's a brand ambassador. C-Dog a brand ambassador, though.
You know, like, come on. In the preseason, you play better than goddamn how you played this goddamn first game. And this nigga had 2 goddamn turnovers. Like, what are we talking about, man? Cam Newton came out and threw for 400 goddamn yards. But everybody quiet. Nah, come on, man. This has got to be real, man.
Because we
stop goddamn bullshitting. Don't see though, you know, you got some more games to improve, but man, shit. Nigga got to go get Deion. Get goddamn coach. Got to go get Deion. Son to be I got that quarterback. They're probably gonna end up in motherfucking Dallas, whooping everybody ass in the future. Shit.
We ain't got next. We got now.
Oh, man.
We ain't coming no more. We here. Play me my theme music.
Hey,
that motherfucker is the best.
Dude, C-Dog is the homie. Even when people back in the day wanted me to ban him in the chat, I never did.
C-Dog?
People thought he was a Falcons fan, just trolling people.
What?
I never ever would do that to to him or G
Anybody,
Baby, man.
probably.
We all tell people how to be a fan. You're allowed to Bleav. And by the way, he's been right before where we probably should have listened. Tony, listen to this, man. C3 is international, bro.
Yeah.
Love from Brazil. Keep pounding Carolina. We're going to be back. Yo, shout out to our Brazilian fans and Brazilian Panther fans, man. That's awesome.
Everybody's got good points in some context, right? C-Dog said this. He ain't no Julius Peppers. You damn right. Julius Peppers on a different level. Than I know you guys think Brian Burns got all this potential. Julius Peppers did that from day one, and he was bigger, strong. He's like the Nick Bosa of 2002. But I really believe that Brian Burns has one of the most elite spin moves I've ever seen in my life. And then I put this out. I put a tweet out, Cody, that said, Brian Burns has the best spin move I've ever seen. And I was being honest at that moment. And the guy goes, well, you ain't ever looked at no Hayden, what's his name? Hayden Hutchinson? Hayden Hutchinson. Tape. I was like, well, I've seen a little bit. But this motherfucker in game one against the Kansas City Chiefs did a double spin move. He spun left like a tip top, and then he spun right like that shit was insane, bro. Insane. So I will say, whoever said that, I'm willing to listen. All right. This is the second
we got
call.
One more call.
This is the second call from Stats. Look, Promise QS Panda said, no, Tony, Nick Bosa is the Julius Peppers. That's exactly what I meant to say. And if I didn't say it correctly, yes. Is there a guy? See, that's the thing, is that's the difference between Nick Bosa and Brian Burns. And it's not, please, if you're listening, Brian Burns' brother, Loki. Is it Loki or Lochi? Loki, right?
Lucci?
Lucci? Oh, it's Lucci.
Yeah, hype man.
His name is Stanley McGlover, I believe. But
Lucci, that's how everybody knows.
If you're listening to me, this is not a knock. But the fact is, if you're 280 and you do the things that somebody that's 255 does,
it's more impressive.
It's that's what Pep could do. He could do. Pep could play in a 3-4, and he was 280 pounds.
Yeah,
he can play anything. He's the best. The best, dude. You're right. I 1000% agree with that. Nick Bosa is the Julius Peppers of 2023. All right, final call of the night.
Hey, Strats again, or Stats again, however you see it. Anyway, I just want to point out one more thing because it's driving me nuts. Look, if you have a web page that you have to search for text, Control F, and it pulls up a search bar, and then you can type whatever you want.
Oh my God!
It's not case sensitive, and then you can highlight anything you want. So when you're going through trying to find certain bets, let's say, on your betting page, drop your.
I'm gonna cancel this.
Your bet website here, then plug, aka, then you can find the name of the person you're trying to bet on.
I could have done that, but I'm trying to write a podcast, and I wasn't.
It's a nice little trick, and everyone should use it. I'm on computers all day. That's my job, so it helps 1,000 times. And the other point to make is that it's really hard to boil down. Like, I've got so many thoughts and things I want to share and talk about, but it's nearly impossible to just limit it all down into. I'm finding it hard to find the right words during a 30-second, phone voicemail. So, I don't know. It is what it is, I suppose. But the previous message kind of goes a long way with as far as thinking that I think Frank needs some work himself, and I don't think he sees it yet. And I don't know. I want to have faith in them. I don't want the team to lose, of course. I want them to win. I want them to succeed. But holy shit. If it doesn't feel like a little bit of karma for not having, the 49ers defense, what I think they allowed, was it 1 yard they allowed? Holy shit. Karma's a bitch, eh? Maybe we should have stuck with how that worked out. and at the end of the season and giving him one more season as a shot.
Wilkes. Okay.
But I don't know. I don't want to jump there just yet. I'll pump the brakes. But fucking A, Frank, pull your head out of your ass and stop trying to micromanage the whole fucking team. Let them play and do their job. You hired these motherfuckers to play their positions, to execute their roles as the coaches you fucking hired them for. Fucking let it unfold and stop micromanaging so much shit.
That might
Tony,
be a good
I don't
point.
know if you're ready. I have a gut feeling that this Thomas Brown, Frank Wright
yeah,
debate.
I'm not ready for that shit.
No, dude,
I'm
it's not, and it's not going anywhere either.
Because
We're going to
it's
continue
too
to have
easy,
it,
bro. It's too fucking
right.
easy. How about this? Is how many times go back in stats? Thank you for the Control F tip. I do know it. Sadly, I will say this, and thank you, Cody, for being my producer, of how much you have helped me in the production of the show by just pulling shit up, changing. Like, it is sometimes difficult to lead a conversation, to try to help. You're trying to do 7 things at once.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like, first, I do know Control F, but thank you for the advice. And a B, I didn't use it there, right? Because I'm sitting here trying to do the prize picks. I wasn't expecting for it to fucking be that difficult. I think this whole but if we controlled F'd discussions on Google about play calling, we know that offenses slowly install shit because they don't want to show everything in week 1. They don't want to show So I don't think that it's just like this is like, oh, basic ass Frank Reich bitch. Basic bitch Frank Reich can't call. I just don't. I think that's a premature discussion to have. You might be right in the end. But I don't think there's anywhere close to enough data to actually make a fair evaluation on that. But I 1000% agree with you, Cody. That conversation will go 0 places unless we're like fucking awesome. And I told you this.
No leeway either.
I told you this once that I said, oh shit. And Sheena got pissed at me a little bit.
For what?
Because I said, oh, it's starting already. And this was like in preseason game 2. And it was like, oh, the offense looked better in the second half. And she was like, I ain't saying nothing, but offensive play calling looked better. And it was like eyeballs. So it was like, it was the most passive aggressive fucking and I was like, oh shit, it's starting already. Y'all motherfuckers, every call, oh wait, I called a run right.
And also,
a run left.
But Tony, I think it's also important to remember that Thomas Brown comes from a very highly touted coaching staff over there in Los Angeles. Sean McVay spoke very highly of them. And it's also seen as like Frank Reich is the older coach. He's had his time calling plays. He's had levels of success.
Okay.
But it hasn't always looked incredible with him. So now that this is a discussion, we're going to continue to have it if this offense does not look dynamic enough on the field.
Could you have said that about Andy Reid, though? Could you have said that about Andy Reid, who was with Philadelphia, who made 3 consecutive NFC championships, couldn't get to the promised land?
I mean, listen.
And you could have been like, oh, Andy Reid does holding us back.
I mean,
it's just like you might be right. You might be right. But we don't have the data.
But I'm not going to compare him to Andy Reid because, one, why would I? And I understand the point that you're making, but it's like, one, why would I? And number 2, at this point in time, Frank Reich has no wiggle room. If this offense doesn't,
wiggle room? It's week fucking 1, homie.
No,
you're
Tony,
trying to tell me you're not going to give him a year.
Understanding is, I'm not saying me, Tony.
Crazy
I'm talking about the fan base in general.
Already.
If this offense does not look dynamic, you already have the guy that's right there waiting to call plays better than you.
That's so short-sighted.
All right.
It's so short-sighted. It's fucking
So the offense
week
has
one.
to look better, or else everyone is going to be wanting to move to Thomas Brown.
Oh, I know they will be. I know they will be. Just like there were people that wanted Derek fucking Anderson to be the quarterback anytime Cam Newton wasn't doing well. It doesn't make it right. So I disagree. And you might be right, but I will not concede to that in less than a year. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's just not. It's like, oh, well, fuck it. You know what? You didn't call a good game, so fucking pass it on to this other motherfucker. It's too short. It's too TikTok. That's a TikTok.
No, I'm not. You're confusing me with every other motherfucker that's saying,
okay.
Oh, the
I'm
play
ready to
calling is
fight.
bad.
I'm going to fight these motherfuckers.
I am saying that the proof is in the pudding now. I'm not giving anyone kudos for nothing that they don't do on the field, man. If you're not producing, then I'm not going to come up here defending you. So,
you know what? I thought the same shit about Sirianni. And Sirianni fucking just was we're sucking Sirianni's Italian dick 2 years later. So yes, is that you might be right, but you could just as quickly be wrong. It's too mature. It's too premature. It's like making a judgment if you want to marry somebody or divorce them on one date. Anyway, this is the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I need y'all's help, guys. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, share the show. If you drop this link, put it on Reddit. Actually, I'm not supposed to say that, but if anybody puts this on Reddit, it would make me feel cool because supposedly all the smart, cool people are on Reddit. Come on, man. We've been doing this podcast for 10 years. Let people fucking know.
Let me tell you something. This pimping that I got in my blood, it came from a family tree.
I didn't even press the button.
My granddaddy was a pimp.
That's
Granddaddy
perfect.
was a pimp. I'm talking about pimping since pimping. It's in your bloodline.
It's in my bloodline, motherfuckers. Go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Hit the shop tab. You can check out this. You can get this cool mug. You can get the fucking G. You know what? These people that are like, oh, Thomas Brown, answer. You make me fucking sick. That's what G Baby would say. You could also get the shut the hell up shit. We do have to mention this. Aaron Rodgers, Monday night, NFL News Times. We're not doing the drops. We're just running through it, Cody, real quick. Aaron Rodgers, Monday Night Football, the most electric build-up. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, have always ultimately been an Aaron Rodgers fan. He's gotten such a bad rep from the media. Right. I mean, and he believes, or he's argued that it's a lot of it's been manufactured. But boy, did they manufacture the opposite version of that over the last 6 months. Hard Knocks.
Didn't even throw a pass.
Shit. Did you see his fucking?
Yeah.
It's sick. It
that
made
recoil and his calf. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, like dude.
Can we trade Andy Dalton?
No.
Come on. Okay.
No. Why would you trade? No.
Why? Why not? Who gives a fuck?
No.
We don't see him coach. Somebody said, oh, they need him to coach up Bryce Young. Bitch, I saw Bryce Young threw 2 interceptions, and I didn't see no Andy Dalton in the same frame.
Tony, imagine though you're a Jets fan this entire season. You've been pumping up Aaron Rodgers.
Imagine being
and then
a podcast.
Boom, now it's done.
Imagine being us. Imagine
just done.
being a podcast just like. In fact, I have friends. I've been messaging them who playlikeajet.com. At Play Like a Jet podcast. Check him out. Scott Mason. He's been coming. He's helped me out we've been kind of like when our storylines cross. And actually, this year was weird that we didn't link up. Imagine that. Imagine having the Panthers. You said this earlier about how can you not feel this way after losing? You know what I'm saying? Like, Panther fans be in their feels. is ultimately what you were suggesting about the Thomas Brown stuff. Imagine being a Jets fucking fan. You've been in your fields for like 30 years, bro. And you get this. You get the best moment. He looks the part. They're running off. They're chipping off 80-yard runs. And this motherfucker runs out there with a flag on 9/11.
Yeah. Dude, it was if you're a Jets fan.
I hate this.
Look,
I hate, you know what? This is
I hate it for NFL, man.
This shows you it's not scripted, bro.
It's a better storyline when the quarterbacks are healthy and out there balling out.
Or if Aaron Rodgers there, if you hate him or not. This is for Greg and his tinfoil hat. Hit the tinfoil hat, folks. If you in the chat, you got the extra emoji there. This is the negative tinfoil hat. There ain't no way somebody put this in the script like, oh, Aaron Rodgers blows out his goddamn Achilles.
Kristen Ledane said there was a podcaster who compared the Jets situation to The Shining.
Red rum. How about this? Is homeboy Jordan Whitehead had 3 picks last night on your boy Josh Allen.
Yeah,
he hit his bonus for his incentive bonus in game 1. Fuck yeah. It's like this. He should just like fucking be like, you know what? I'm hurt. I'm hurt for the rest of the season. I got mine. Oh, injuries are happening. Deontay Johnson for the Steelers looks to have a hamstring injury. We know J.C. Horn's dealing with that. J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles. Another Achilles tear. We were talking about Aaron Rodgers. How about this, folks? Keaton Mitchell. He's on IR for 4 weeks because of a shoulder injury he had in preseason. But when this mug comes back, ECU 4 point. He runs a 4.2, 4.3, 40. This mug, Keaton Mitchell. He's gonna be you better look for him in fantasy. The Bengals have released right tackle Lel Collins, who they picked up 2 years ago in that effort to, I Bleav, help Joe Burrow. First of all, that I love this fucking uniform. Lel Collins, what a great draft story of. No, actually, he's the worst one. I was thinking of the other dude that was taking the bonk hit. Lel Collins is a worse draft story.
Yeah, he was convicted of some.
No, he wasn't convicted. He got accused.
I said it wrong. He was accused of some very bad shit.
For like a murder or some shit. And he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Your boy sucked a big fat donkey dick last night.
Yeah. Dude, there were not a lot of great quarterbacks this weekend. I mean, there were
except for Tua, best quarterback in the league.
Justin Herbert looked all right.
What about this shit?
Trevor Lawrence looked all right.
It's a doubleheader Monday, right? Are the Steelers on Monday night? I hope so, because I felt like this is why I saw this tweet. The Steelers have won 20 consecutive Monday night games at home. The last Monday night football game they lost at home was in 1991. How fucking cool is it to be a Steelers fan? And then this. Last night was not the start of the season that the Giants had hoped for. Fucking the Giants got fucking curb stomped on Monday. Look at this. They lost. No team has ever lost 40-0 or worse. I'm guessing on Monday Night Football. Lost the sack battle 7-0 or worse. Lost the turnover battle 3-0 or worse. Had a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. Threw a pick 6 in the same season. So so it wasn't just on Monday. So no team has had these stats in the same season. The Giants did it in the first game of the season.
Damn, dude, things could always be worse, right? Everything in context.
All right.
It's better to be a Panthers fan right now than it is a Giants fan.
What about this shit? Devontae, I like some fucking This is immediately to the gay shit right here. Devontae Adams on Jimmy Garoppolo apologizing for him missing a pass. So as Jimmy Garoppolo apologizes to Devontae Adams for missing him, he said, that to me, that's like arguing with your girl and she says, I'm sorry. All right, let's watch a movie. Now we're good. Look at this comment right below. Another straight man imagining himself in a relationship with Jimmy G. Love this shit. Oh, by the way, Charles Cross, left tackle for the Seattle Seahawks, is out with turf toe. They signed 41-year-old Jason Peter today. That's the news.
Wow,
That's
really?
the C3 Panthers podcast. We got one final segment to hit, the Ice Up segment. Cody, can you take us to the Ice Up segment, please?
Let's do it.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
This is our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. This is, we can step into the football world, we can step out of the football world. What we do is we tell someone to toughen up. Cody, I don't have I have enough.
Dude, this might be the first night in forever that I don't have.
All right, I got you covered. All right. So here we go. We'll just run through them super quick, just like we did the news. Check that. Look, I got an Ice Up folder in my Twitter bookmarks. How about this one? Let's see if it doesn't blow up there. Okay, so
Is it the video or the link? All
no,
right.
it's no this right. All right, this right here. Do this. Democratic Party leader in Minnesota worked towards dismantling the Minneapolis PD in 2020 and the Black Lives Matter Antifa riots. Now she has come forward about being the victim of a brutal carjacking outside her home by armed youth. She demands prosecutions. To me, the Ice Up pick is this picture on the left. What the fuck is wrong with her on the left? She looks better
on the
fucking car
covered in blood.
God knows I can't. That one's all right. So that's my first one. My second one is this shit. I don't know who to ice up. This woman just goes crazy for 2 minutes, 32 seconds. She just smashes every single. I don't know why. All
Put it
right,
on
here's
full. You don't have to turn the volume on if you don't want it.
she just keeps smashing.
Well, what?
She pissed about something. All right, here's the Ice Up pick, though. Look, this guy's been filming her, and she walks towards her. Look.
He runs away.
And he fucking turns the camera around like a little bit. All right, so that's my second one.
Yeah,
How about this shit? How about this shit? Oh, I got to turn the music off.
Yep.
This guy tries to swim under ice to this spot. He gets all the way there.
Oh, no.
Look.
No.
Look.
Oh, no. What a dumbass.
Look. Now he gets out of this a lot. Look, this one dude's trying to jump on the and then that one got look, they're trying to luckily they have a rope. Look, he pulls himself back. So again, I don't know if this shit's fake or not, but it looked like he got all the way to the point and got flustered. All right, so Ice Up to you, homie.
Wow, he's literally under the ice.
Look at this shit.
How we doing? Fucking fight, bro. Kick his ass. Fight. Fight.
Oh, look. They're not even playing football.
He said, look, and they blow the
you
whistle.
get whooped, Zay. Nah, I know. Get up.
Somebody
Keep
said
whooping
he already iced up.
Yep.
Listen to this. Look at that fat boys over there. They blow the whistle. It's like,
yes,
woo!
y'all fighting
shit.
just like y'all was doing.
What about this shit? The entire administration is so the energy secretary Jennifer Granholm went on a road trip to tour an electric vehicle to prove how great electric vehicles are. They ran into trouble almost immediately as they found out there was not enough charging stations. So she sent her staff ahead with a gas car and had them reserve a spot at a charging station because they're coming in on low battery. A family ended up calling the police because her staff was using gas cars to block electric vehicles from the station. Way to go. Way to go.
That's hilarious.
And my final, I'm not going to play it. I'm not playing it, but this is a bar in Minneapolis, Minnesota. No, it wasn't Minneapolis. It was in Wisconsin.
Green Bay, right?
But it wasn't in Green Bay, but it was somewhere in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Said
this is that if the Jets lose, if the Jets win, they'll give them free bar tab. A free bar tab. So all of these Packer fans show up to cheer against Aaron Rodgers in his debut as a Jet. He then tears his Achilles or ruptures his Achilles in the first 4 plays. And they go, so people start drinking like fucking crazy, saying, you're going to pay my tab. The fucking thing goes to overtime.
And the Jets went on a punt return.
And bitches had to pay all the
time. I love
Ice up, son. Boy, the C3 Panthers podcast without, I don't know how it goes this late, but it does. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Go to the website, click the stories. Every click helps. And you know what? This is what you could do. If you can't donate $1 to the podcast, you could go to Carolina Cat Chronicles, click a story, look at it, and pretend you're reading, and then click an ad, and it gives me like $1, 50 cents. Come on. Every little bit counts. Cody Lack, we are on our way to 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, homie.
Oh, baby. Hit that subscribe button. Hey, tomorrow. Do you have other Panther friends that you think would want to come and hang out with C3?
Please.
Let them know, man. Let them know. We're out here. We're the pod for Panther fans by Panther fans. Tony, tell them what we have coming up.
Tomorrow morning, Mike K. Beat check. 45 minutes. Great interview. He said this to me. He said, man, people are asking me left and right, but I've been trying to get up with you cats. He made time in his day to talk to us about it today. I played some clips, some teasers today. Tomorrow morning, beat check. Cody Lack, I had to pay $100 today for that NFL Plus. We better be watching some film. Call me.
We're watching
some film. Let's do it.
Yeah, we are watching film. The C3 Film Room coming back. It goes out a day early for all the super fans for only $1.99 a month. We appreciate y'all, man. We're going to dive into some of the film and then the Madden simulation. Also,
fucking balling out. CK did a great
and it predicts every single game.
Yeah,
the Madden simulation compared to what happens.
I hate it.
Yeah,
hate it.
This last week and last year.
Stupid.
It was, man.
The Friday free for on Friday nights. Cody has created an army of people. It's your show on Friday night. You can come on at 7 p.m. You can come on and be the host of the C3 Panthers podcast.
That's right.
And Monday night, bro, you go to the game. I got this post game, homie. If you get back, I got you. If you don't get back, I still got you, homie. We'll be up into the wee hours of the morning because this motherfucking podcast has been rocking for 10 years. We might not be the biggest in numbers, but we are the fucking mightiest. Cody Lack, take us out of here.
C3 Nation, keep pounding.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You can turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.